Chapter 4:16. The 16 demon emperors were floating in their respective positions. At the same time, they were controlling the extremely silent heavenly flames to burn that final lump of liquid. As for the Pang demon emperor Zhong Yan, Lu Tu and Ao Ku, they directly arrived in the sky above the sealing element refining flames array. Your Majesty. Seeing that it was the Pang demon emperor, the 16 demon emperors immediately greeted him respectfully. Never had I expected that after refining this small half of the Yellow Lion Mountain, there would actually be materials that could be used to refine top-quality demon artifacts, said the Pang demon emperor Zhong Yan with a light smile. At this moment, his mood was extremely good. Lu Tu, Ao Ku, are the two of you able to discover that Qingyu immortal mansion? Ao Ku and Lu Tu both spread out their demon awareness and permeated it. They covered that lump of liquid that was being burned by the extremely silent heavenly flames. After a long while, Ao Ku and Lu Tu were still carefully inspecting that lump of liquid. Let me do it, said the Pang demon emperor indifferently. Your subordinates are incompetent, said Ao Ku and Lu Tu respectfully. That Qin Yu must have definitely turned that Qingyu immortal mansion into a water droplet. Unfortunately, no matter how much he tried to imitate it, it would still be fake. There would definitely be loopholes. The Pang demon emperor also spread out his demon awareness. It turned into layers upon layers of waves and instantly covered that lump of liquid. It was extremely difficult to distinguish every single droplet from the liquid. Ao Ku and Lu Tu also did not dare to disturb them. Below, at the place where the Pang demon emperor and his two brothers were originally resting, a figure suddenly appeared. It was precisely Qin Yu who had changed his appearance. Qin Yu raised his head and took a glance. He had a smile on his face. Pang demon emperor, slowly search for me. If you're able to find me, then I would truly admire you. In merely a blink of an eye, Qin Yu's figure disappeared from the plane. Teleportation. Amen. Ao Ku turned his head around and looked down. What's wrong? Asked Lu Tu beside him. At the same time, he also turned his head around and looked down. The plane was exactly the same as before. There was nothing there. What are you looking at? Nothing. Ao Ku turned his head around and smiled to Lu Tu beside him. My head was dizzy earlier. Just now, Ao Ku had actually felt a very slight energy fluctuation. That fluctuation had disappeared in the blink of an eye. Ao Ku had thought that it was just his imagination. Lu Tu smiled and said, "Let's wait for your Majesty to find the Qingyu immortal mansion. After dealing with Qin Yu and the others, we will have nothing to do in the future." That's right. Ao Ku also sighed. With their status, why would the Bird clan bother them with anything? Unfortunately, Ao Ku and Lu Tu had no idea that Qin Yu had already arrived at the interstellar teleportation formation on planet Black Crow. He had easily used the interstellar teleportation formation to flee. As for the Pang demon emperor Zhong Yan, he was still unresigned in his exploration. Never had I expected that this Qin Yu's ability to conceal himself would be this strong. The Pang demon emperor no longer had a smile on his face. After such a long time without finding the Qingyu immortal mansion, he was a little angry. I don't believe it. The Pang demon emperor's eyes were ice cold. His demon awareness had turned into hundreds of millions of portions. Each and every portion of his demon awareness had wrapped around a droplet of water. The Pang demon emperor was carefully observing the difference between each and every portion. Unfortunately, no matter how hard he tried, he was still unable to discover anything. Full 2 hours. The Pang demon emperor had no choice but to admit that he had failed. Even someone as conceited as him was unable to continue on. All of you use your demon awareness to search. Find out exactly where the Qingyu immortal mansion is hidden, said the Pang demon emperor Zhong Yan coldly. His gaze swept past the 16 demon emperors as well as Lu Tu and Ao Ku. Whoever is able to find the Qingyu immortal mansion, I will definitely reward them greatly. Yes, your Majesty. Immediately the 16 demon emperors, Ao Ku and Lu Tu, a total of 18 people, began to carefully search. The result was self-evident: they had still failed. "Your Majesty, this subordinate has a method." Suddenly, a demon emperor said respectfully. The Pang demon emperor's eyes shined. That demon emperor said respectfully, "We merely need to control the extremely silent heavenly flame to burn it and leave it at other times. That liquid would turn into a solid one moment and then into a liquid the next. I reckon that no matter how strong the Qingyu Immortal Mansion's transformation ability is, it would still have some flaws. This method was exactly the same as when Emperor Yu used the Sealing Element Refining Flames array to find Qin Yu in that lump of liquid." But once the Pang Demon Emperor heard that, he felt that it was feasible. "You arrange everyone. Quickly, find Qin Yu's immortal mansion for me." "Yes, Your Majesty." A trace of joy appeared in that demon emperor's eyes. He then hurriedly arranged everyone. In one moment, the extremely silent heavenly flame would burn it, and in another moment, the extremely silent heavenly flame would be removed. That lump of liquid would condense and in another moment melt. All the demon emperors were carefully inspecting it. Failure. Still failure. For a total of 6 hours, the Pang demon emperor and his subordinates had used many different methods. The Pang Demon Emperor had even personally entered the Sealing Element Refining Flames array to refine that lump of liquid into a top-quality demon artifact, and then dripped his blood on it to become its master. After becoming its master, the Pang Demon Emperor had also carefully inspected it. However, he was still unable to do it. In the end, after the Pang Demon Emperor removed the blood contract with that demon artifact, he directly used his own Pang Claw to crush that top-quality demon artifact. In the end, the Pang Demon Emperor had no choice but to admit that the Qingyu Immortal Mansion had most likely already left the Sealing Element Refining Flames array. The Pang Demon Emperor did not believe that the Qingyu Immortal Mansion would still be undetectable with all those methods. How exactly did that Qingyu escape? This question had vexed the Pang Demon Emperor for a very long time. At the time when the Pang Demon Emperor finally gave up on searching for the Qingyu Immortal Mansion, Qin Yu had already left the starfield where the Black Crow Star was located. With astonishing speed, he was unceasingly rushing toward the northeast region of the Bird Clan. Occasionally, he would use interstellar conveying arrays, and occasionally, he would use greater teleportation. In merely 3 days, Qin Yu had arrived at a starfield in the northeast region of the Bird Clan. The Cyan Flame Starfield. The Cyan Flame Starfield was located at the extreme northern region of the Immortal, Devil and Demon realm. To its east was the most chaotic region of the Bird Clan, the Chaotic Starfield. Further to the east was the legendary Bewitching God Temple. The Bewitching God Temple was located between the Bird Clan and the Dark Star realm. The Chaotic Starfield was truly chaotic. It was so chaotic that even the current Qin Yu did not want to go there. Thus, he chose the relatively peaceful Cyan Flame Starfield. The Cyan Flame Starfield was the headquarters of the Eagle Clan. The Eagle Clan was an extremely powerful clan within the Bird Clan. In terms of clan strength, they were second only to the Pang Clan. The current clan chief of the Eagle Clan was the level 8 Demon Emperor Lu Tuesday. He was also one of the 3 great experts under the Pang Demon Emperor. Of course, now that Bai Feng had died, the subordinates under the Pang Demon Emperor were led by Ao Ku and Lu Tuesday. Cyan Flame Starfield, Flowing Mist Star. In the vast sky above the Flowing Mist Star, a man was standing in the sky. He was overlooking the heaven and earth and sweeping his gaze all around. A very beautiful and peaceful planet. Qin Yu had a slight smile on his face. "Man, that's the one. Let's choose this planet as the place where we brothers will live in the future." After that, Qin Yu directly landed on the ground. With an intention, Ho Fei, Kuro, Bai Ling and Hei Tong all appeared on the ground. "Big brother, where is this? It looks pretty," said Ho Fei while smiling. Qin Yu nodded and said, "This is the Cyan Flame Starfield's Flowing Mist Starfield. The Flowing Mist Star is located at the edge of the Cyan Flame Starfield. According to the introduction on the interstellar map that Big Brother Wu Ming gave me, This planet is a very ordinary planet. It's about the same as the Maple Moon star that I was on back then. The strongest people here are likely only level 7 or 8 demon kings. Big brother, are you planning to choose this place as the place where we brothers will live in the future? Kuro was wearing a white gown. His long hair was fluttering in the wind. He also gave off an elegant feeling. Chinyu nodded. He then looked to Hei Tong. There's nothing wrong with us 3 brothers. It's just that little Tong cannot always be with us and cannot enter the city. Thus I have decided to choose this place as the place where we will live in the future. Ah! Hei Tong's eyes shined. Eldest uncle, I can really go out and play now. Don't worry, we cannot blindly step into the interior of this planet. Who knows if there are people from the Pang Demon Emperor on this planet? Said Chinyu with a light smile. Bai Ling said. Big brother, although the Pang Demon Emperor's power is vast, his troops are only stationed on some of the major planets and important planets. For a small planet like the Flowing Mist Star, there are relatively few outsiders. Most of them are merely passing by through the conveying arrays. I know that. That's why I chose this ordinary planet. Chinyu nodded. However, it's better to be safe than sorry. Soon after, 6 figures suddenly appeared on the ground. Of these 6 people, one was a level 4 demon emperor Dong Shui. As for the other 5, 2 were level 9 demon kings and 3 were level 8 demon kings. They were all spiritual beasts of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. We pay our respects to Master, said Dong Shui and the other 5 respectfully. Big brother, what are you doing? Ho Fei, Kuro and them were all confused. Chinyu, however, did not answer them. Instead, he directly said to Dong Shui. Dong Shui, this planet is the Flowing Mist Star, a very ordinary planet. The strongest people on this planet are only level 7 or 8 demon kings. I order you all to completely control this planet within 100 years. Master's intention is? Dong Shui asked in confusion. Chinyu lightly smiled and said. It's very simple. Completely control this planet. From every corner, I want the majority of the people on the Flowing Mist Star to be under our control. Even if an outsider were to step onto the Flowing Mist Star, you must know that it's enough to do this. Local emperors. Ho Fei laughed. Big brother's intention is for us to become the local emperors of this planet. Not us, it's Dong Shui. Chinyu lightly smiled and said. Even Dong Shui is the controller behind the scenes. On the surface, she has these 5 demon kings go out and have them control the entire Flowing Mist Star. As for the matters that are difficult for them to handle, Dong Shui will then act. Master, for a planet like this, a single year would be sufficient for the 6 of us, said Dong Shui confidently. For a planet like the Flowing Mist Star, a level 4 demon emperor Dong Shui would naturally be able to easily capture it. Even if she wanted to completely control it, a single year would be sufficient. Eldest uncle, you're having them control the Flowing Mist Star, what about us? Asked Hei Tong confusedly. Chinyu smiled and said. You ought to know that your father, your second uncle, and even your mother's identities cannot be revealed. For this sort of thing there is no need for us to personally go out. We merely need to hide in the darkest place and not let anyone know. The eyes of Ho Fei, Kuro and them all shined. They completely understood what Chinyu meant. Chinyu's gaze turned sharp. He stared at Dong Shui. Dong Shui, I'll give you 100 years. After 100 years, I want you to be able to. Even if the Pang Demon Emperor were to send a single person to the Flowing Mist Star, you must be able to obtain information about him the moment he arrives. Although the Bird Clan belongs to the Pang Demon Emperor, I want this Flowing Mist Star to be completely under our control. Once the Pang Demon Emperor's people arrive here, they would become blind. Even if they were able to see, what they see would be a show for them to see. Dong Shui, are you able to accomplish that? Chinyu looked to Dong Shui. Dong Shui said confidently. Master, please rest assured. 100 years. This subordinate is definitely able to accomplish that. Xiao Hei, Bai Ling, do you still remember the matter that I told you too? Chinyu smiled and said. Kuro and Bai Ling both nodded. Kuro stroked his daughter's head. Big brother, you're right. It's time for this child to see the world. Father, mother, eldest uncle, you all. Hei Tong's face was filled with confusion. Qin Yu looked to Dong Shui. Dong Shui, I'll leave little Tong to you to take care of. In this 100 years' time, you'll have little Tong live on the flowing mist star. You will appear as her master. Peng Demon Emperor and them also do not know of little Tong's existence. She will not be in any danger. Yes, master, said Dong Shui respectfully. Father, mother, eldest uncle, second uncle. Could it be that you all are not going to stay on the flowing mist star together? At this moment, Hei Tong woke up. Not for the time being. This place is still not safe enough, said Qin Yu with a light smile. Stay on the flowing mist star. At the very least, it was impossible right now. Qin Yu already had a plan in his heart. He planned to spend 100 years in the outer space to comprehend the universe. As for the next step of this stellar transformation, Qin Yu truly wanted to comprehend it thoroughly. Compared to the 9 steps dark gold body, Qin Yu cared more about his stellar transformation. Chapter 417. His soul had completely fused with the universe. As he felt the pulse of the universe, Qin Yu's soul aura became more and more faint. In the end, it was as if it didn't exist. The blazing star was a boiling large fireball. Streams of flames were erupting from this fireball. There were even streams of flames that rushed into the meteorites. Another group of meteorites were flying over from another direction. They passed by the group of meteorites that Qin Yu was in. Qin Yu was looking with his eyes and sensing with his soul. Gradually, what he saw with his eyes and what he sensed with his soul started to fuse together. Sitting cross-legged on the meteorite, Qin Yu's 9 steps dark gold body speed was raised to the limit. Those 27,000 seal marks and patterns were flickering with a blue light. Qin Yu's bones and muscles were transforming unceasingly. The cells within his bones and muscles were also transforming unceasingly. Even if his bones and muscles were to break apart at such a rapid speed, the life elemental energy within Qin Yu's body would automatically repair them. To train without any worries like this, there was no one in the dinosaur clan that could do this. In a blink of an eye, several tens of years had passed. Qin Yu had separated himself from the fusion with the universe. A light smile appeared on his face. Several tens of years is merely the blink of an eye. Although the stellar transformations martial technique that Master created was only able to reach the Dujie stage, but the stellar transformations was a martial technique that could evolve the universe. It was the true great Tao. Its profoundness greatly surpassed the various martial techniques of the immortals, devils and demons. The more he comprehended, the clearer Qin Yu felt it in his heart. Fei, Xiao Hei and them's cultivation speed is pretty fast. I'll continue to comprehend. Qin Yu restrained the distracting thoughts in his mind. He once again fused his soul with the universe. He was in a faintly discernible and mysterious state, inside the Jianglan's realm. Several tens of years in the outside world meant that several hundred years had passed in the Jianglan's realm. Ho Fei, Kuro and them had all increased their strength by quite a bit. A body covered with silver fur, golden eyes and purple lips. Ho Fei held the black stick in his hand. He was excitedly cawing and then roaring. Mixed hair bird, take this. Like a long black dragon, the black stick tore through the vast sky and directly arrived before Kuro. Petty tricks. Kuro sneered. His figure changed at an extremely fast speed. 9 afterimages appeared in a row and easily dodged this move. At the same time, a black spear suddenly appeared in his right hand. The spear was like a snake as it suddenly shot out. The black staff and the black spear only lightly touched each other before separating. It was a lightning-fast exchange of blows. Ho Fei's staff technique and Kuro's spear technique both displayed their subtleties. The two of them did not rely on their strength, but rather on the subtlety of their techniques. The black staff and the black spear appeared and disappeared from time to time during the piercing process. Sometimes it seemed as if they were hidden in space. It was very strange. Big brother, you second brother, let's rest for a while. Bai Ling smiled as she walked out from the courtyard. The two afterimages fell to the ground separately, and the figures gradually became clear. Ho Fei's golden armor was filled with fighting spirit. As for Kuro, he was wearing white clothes and gave off a desolate feeling. Aya, mixed hairbird, I never expected that your spear technique would also improve greatly after reaching level 6 Demon Emperor. You're almost on par with my heaven-startling 9 stick strikes. However, I still haven't used my 8th and 9th stick strike yet. Once I use them, you'll undoubtedly lose. Ho Fei said confidently. Kuro lightly smiled. You've completely comprehended the heaven-startling 9 stick strikes? It's already been several hundred years. You've already reached level 6 Demon Emperor from level 5 Demon Emperor. Although I've yet to reach level 7 Demon Emperor, I've more or less comprehended the heaven-startling 9 stick strikes. It's just that there's a slight problem with the final 9th stick strike. Ho Fei's face did not turn red. Just watch, I'm about to reach level 7 Demon Emperor. Kuro did not say anything. He merely put away his spear and sat down on a stone chair to rest. Bai Ling was sitting beside him. Ho Fei also put away his black stick and sat beside Bai Ling. Monkey, Big Brother said that he'll be in the outside world for 100 years. Is it really 100 years? If during the 100 years, Big Brother happens to be at a crucial moment, how could we possibly disturb him? Kuro frowned and asked. However, if that's the case, then when should we go and wake Big Brother up? Ho Fei laughed mischievously. That's simple. Why would we need to wake Big Brother up? When Big Brother feels that it's about time, he'll naturally come and let us out. Ho Fei was not worried. Kuro also nodded. Bai Ling, who stood to the side, said somewhat anxiously. If Big Brother is comprehending the heaven-startling 9 stick strikes the entire time, are we to stay in the Jianglan's realm the entire time? It's already been a long time since I've seen Little Tong. I truly wished to see her sooner. Ling. Kuro frowned and reprimanded. So what if you see Little Tong later? Big Brother's cultivation is the most important. Oh! Bai Ling could only answer. Peaceful days continued to pass. Inside Wu Lan's residence in the Jianglan's realm. Boss Wu Lan, Boss Wu Lan. That voice that sounded like the roar of the heavens and earth suddenly sounded, waking up Wu Lan, who was resting in his room. Wu Lan helplessly walked out of his residence. Seeing Yi Chu, who was running over excitedly from afar, he smiled helplessly and said, Yi Chu, why are you shouting so loudly? Yi Chu had a complacent expression. Boss Wu Lan, look. Look at what? Wu Lan was puzzled. Look carefully. Yi Chu's face was filled with smiles. See if there's any change in me. Wu Lan looked at him in confusion for a moment. He then smiled. Oh, you've finally broken through. Yi Chu pounded his chest with his fist and said happily. That's right. After all these years, I've finally broken through. Haha, that ice-cold Ao Wushu was the first to reach level 8 Demon Emperor. He would often act arrogant in front of me. This time, let's see if he still dares to act arrogantly. Actually, Ao Wushu was not arrogant. It's just that his ice-cold attitude naturally caused others to feel that he was arrogant. Haha, level 8 Demon Emperor. You and Wushu must train faster. With Qin Yu's current cultivation speed, I'm afraid that he'll undergo the divine tribulation and ascend to the divine realm before you. If that's really the case, I'm afraid that we'll have to separate. Wu Lan instructed. Boss Wu Lan, what do you mean? Yi Chu also calmed down. Wu Lan said solemnly. When Qin Yu ascends to the divine realm, if you and Ao Wushu have not passed the divine tribulation, then the two of you will not be able to ascend together with Qin Yu and me. You'll only be expelled from the divine realm. This is the rule of the universe. It's like how one must reach the Deshang stage to ascend from the mortal realm to the immortal, devil and demon realm. For example, Qin Yu, even if he were to bring people and place them in the Qingyu immortal mansion, they would still be expelled from the immortal, devil and demon realm. Although the Jianglan's realm is exceptional, it's merely a space within a spatial divine artifact and not a true space. Wu Lan said carefully. True space. Yi Chu was a bit confused. Wu Lan nodded and said with a smile. A true space naturally possesses spiritual energy, elemental spirit energy and so on. It also possesses life and so on. As for the Jianglan's realm, it is a space within a spatial divine artifact. The elemental spirit energy within it is also absorbed from the outside world. It is unable to produce energy by itself. Oh boss Wushu, and I must pass the divine tribulation in order to ascend to the divine realm. What about you? Yi Chu had some guesses in his heart. Wu Lan smiled indifferently. I am originally from the divine realm. Returning to the divine realm is very natural. Even if I do not train right now and do not have the slightest bit of progress, I will still be able to ascend to the divine realm. At that time, I will still be able to stay in the Jianglan's realm and return to the divine realm with Qin Yu. However, you all cannot. That Qin Yu's cultivation speed is too fast. It would be good if he was slower. Chapter 418. In the boundless cosmos, numerous stars were stopped in the outer space. This group of meteorites was rapidly flowing through the stars. On the largest meteorite in the center of this group of meteorites, there was a figure sitting cross-legged motionlessly. It was unknown how long he had been sitting there like this. It was also unknown when he would stand up. Traces of green light were slowly being emitted from Qin Yu's head. The corners of Qin Yu's mouth were slightly raised. He had a smile on his face. His eyes had been open the entire time. He was calmly looking at the meteorites. Suddenly, Qin Yu stood up. He stood proudly on top of this meteorite that was flying at an extremely fast speed. It's been 90 years. This time around I've been in seclusion training for 90 years. Qin Yu's heart was very tranquil. He felt as if his state of mind was slowly fluctuating along with the pulse of the entire cosmos. That was a wonderful feeling. However, Qin Yu knew that, in these 90 years, he had allowed his soul to become even more assimilated with the cosmos. His state of mind had become even closer to the fluctuations of the cosmos. After 90 years of training, Qin Yu's soul's level had naturally reached the level 9 Immortal Emperor level. His third-layer heavenly soul was only a step away from reaching the perfection stage. Qin Yu did not care about the increase in his soul's level. After all, he still needed to rely on his own strength in battle. In the last several hundred years in the Jianglan's realm, Qin Yu had been stuck at the 6th stage of the 9 steps dark gold body the entire time. And now he had finally reached the 7th stage. The 9 steps force had also turned from blue to purple. Currently, Qin Yu's bones and muscles were comparable to low-quality divine artifacts. Adding on the assistance of his life elemental energy, he could be considered to be a divine artifact that could be repaired at any time. There was no need to mention how powerful he was. Unfortunately, there's not much progress in this stellar transformations martial technique. Qin Yu suddenly sighed. All these years of comprehension, Qin Yu had actually been trying to create the 9th stage of the stellar transformations. However, creating a new stage was not that simple. Qin Yu stood on top of the meteorite and casually looked at the boundless cosmos. Suddenly, a huge cluster of gorgeous nebula appeared in Qin Yu's field of vision. This cluster of nebula emitted a dreamy light and was very attractive. Qin Yu was obviously attracted by this cluster of nebula. The nebula was very large. It was comparable to the size of thousands of stars. Every part of this vast nebula was operating quietly. The trajectories seemed to have no pattern, but Qin Yu, who had just woken up from the brilliance of the nebula, noticed them. Seeing these trajectories, Qin Yu's heart seemed to be stirred. His mind, which had been calm for 90 years, was shaken. At this moment, like a bolt of lightning, it lit up in Qin Yu's mind. Qin Yu was suddenly enlightened. I see. Qin Yu smiled. He closed his eyes and slowly raised his hands. Qin Yu's hands moved very slowly, but when Qin Yu's hands moved, the entire space seemed to shake. The light around Qin Yu seemed to distort. Qin Yu's hands stopped moving. His hands seemed to be hugging an empty sphere that was placed in front of him. Qin Yu smiled and closed his eyes. He seemed to be enjoying a wonderful feeling. The moment Qin Yu's hands stopped moving, dozens of meteorites that were flying at high speeds suddenly stopped. From moving at high speeds to being still, it happened in an instant. These dozens of meteorites were all suspended in space, motionless. Whew! Qin Yu's arms unconsciously trembled. With Qin Yu as the center, the entire space produced visible spatial ripples. The dozens of suspended meteorites suddenly moved. These dozens of meteorites, with the meteorite Qin Yu was standing on as the center, began to rotate. There were meteorites above Qin Yu. There were meteorites to the left of Qin Yu. There were meteorites in front of Qin Yu. And there were meteorites below Qin Yu. It was a sphere, and Qin Yu was the center of the sphere. The dozens of meteorites continued to rotate. These meteorites sometimes rotated up, sometimes down. Their trajectories were not circular. They were not even elliptical. The trajectories were simple and seemed to have no pattern. But, if there were experts present, they would discover that the trajectories of these meteorites were very similar to the trajectories of the distant illusory nebula. It was just that each meteorite represented a large mass of energy within the nebula. These dozens of meteorites continued to rotate. The nebula in the distance also continued to rotate. The trajectories were the same. The only difference was the size. However, in the other space that the black hole in Qin Yu's dantian led to, in the 2 to 3 meter long and wide space that belonged to Qin Yu, the thick golden black hole's energy also started to slowly move. Although it was slow, it still started to move. Time passed. These dozens of meteorites maintained their current state. Had been 12 years. Qin Yu raised his hands as if he was hugging a ball. After maintaining this posture for 12 years, his eyes suddenly opened. At the moment when Qin Yu opened his eyes, the dozens of meteorites that had formed a huge sphere suddenly stopped. Haha! After 100 years of comprehension, I've finally comprehended something. So that's how it is, that's how it is. Qin Yu's face was full of smiles. It was a very confident smile. He placed his hands behind his back and stood with his hands behind his back. His footsteps remained on the largest meteorite. I've broken my promise. I said 100 years, but it has already reached 102 years. Qin Yu laughed at himself. After that, Qin Yu looked at the dozens of meteorites that were still in the sky. With a casual wave of his hand, the dozens of meteorites immediately continued to move forward along their original trajectories. As for Qin Yu himself, he stood in the sky. After a while, he used the greater teleportation and disappeared into space. In an instant, Qin Yu appeared on an uninhabited planet. My soul realm has now reached level 9 Immortal Emperor realm. With the assistance of Lu Xing's tier, who can compare to me in terms of compatibility with the universe? With my current greater teleportation, I don't really need to use the interstellar teleportation array anymore. Qin Yu immediately disappeared again. Currently, Qin Yu's greater teleportation distance was about 10 times further than before. In the past, it was already very powerful to teleport a tenth of a galaxy. Now, Qin Yu could almost cross an entire galaxy. There was no need for an interstellar teleportation array. Even if he wanted to go from one galaxy to another, Qin Yu could rely on his own strength to directly teleport. Only when the distance between one galaxy and another galaxy was too far, Qin Yu would need to rely on the interstellar teleportation array. The 8th realm is the black hole realm. What exactly is the 9th realm? I don't have to worry about it. I'll just follow the situation and evolve naturally. Qin Yu felt relaxed. Within Qin Yu's dantian space, the current black hole was different from the past. The current black hole did not have the three obvious golden halos. The black hole had already turned into a faint golden tunnel. At the other end of the tunnel, within the flower paste space, the space that was originally 2 to 3 meters in length, width and height belonged to Chinyu. Now, the area that belonged to Chinyu had already reached about 10 meters in length, width and height. At the same time, this space was slowly expanding at an undetectable speed. In this flower paste space, this small space that belongs to me shall be called the stellar space. Chinyu thought to himself. Within the stellar space, the golden black hole's power that had been stagnant and accumulated in the past had undergone a tremendous change. Now, there was a mass of huge nebula that was similar to the one that Chinyu had seen before that was constantly revolving. As for the golden black hole's power of the past, it was constantly revolving and gathering together. It had already turned into golden granules. When Chinyu's consciousness entered the stellar space, he discovered that countless golden particles were slowly and methodically moving according to a wonderful trajectory, forming a nebula sphere. If one looked carefully, they would discover that outside the stellar space, there were strands of chaotic flower paste energy that were flying in through the membrane. The golden black hole's power had to absorb the flower paste energy in order to form a golden granule. Those countless golden granules relied on the flower paste energy to slowly transform into golden granules. The more flower paste energy was absorbed from the outside world, the more empty the flower paste space would be, and the larger this stellar space would naturally expand. This flower paste space is indeed marvelous. What exactly is that flower paste energy? Chinyu thought to himself, then laughed. Within this flower paste space, the flower paste energy covers the heavens and the earth. It is endless and it is everywhere. My astral space can only take up a larger area if it absorbs more energy. Chinyu didn't completely understand. However, his intuition told him that the flower paste energy was good stuff and he had to absorb it continuously. The larger his stellar space was, the better. Now, Chinyu was still slowly absorbing the flower paste energy, causing the golden granules to form a spherical nebula in his body to increase. Chinyu also understood that he was just preparing to accumulate power, and he hadn't reached the threshold of the 9th realm yet. Green flame star area, flowing mist star. Flowing mist star is still as beautiful and tranquil as before. Chinyu appeared in flowing mist star. With a few steps, he arrived at the largest city of the 3 major cities of flowing mist star, Vastu City. The gate of Vastu City was wide. When the gatekeeper saw Chinyu walking over, he had a feeling of difficulty breathing. He didn't even dare to go forward and ask, "Who is this person?" "No, I must inform Lord immediately." The gatekeeper looked at Chinyu's back and made a decision in his heart. There were a lot of cultivators in Vastu City. However, most of them were level 1 heavenly demons. Demon King experts were extremely rare. At least, the strongest person that Chinyu encountered along the way was only a level 1 Demon King. This was the only Demon King that he saw. From this, it could be seen that there were very few experts on flowing mist star. "Master!" Dong Shue's figure suddenly appeared beside him. She transmitted her voice to Chinyu respectfully. Chinyu glanced at Dong Shue and nodded slightly. "Have you completed the task I gave you?" "Now the entire flowing mist star is under our control. No one who enters flowing mist star can escape our surveillance," Dong Shue said respectfully. Chinyu nodded indifferently. "All right, take me to your current place." "Yes." Dong Shue then transformed into a stream of light and shot into the sky. Chinyu followed behind Dong Shue casually. In the blink of an eye, Chinyu and Dong Shue arrived in front of a palace in the extreme north of Vast Fan City, another city on flowing mist star. "Master, this is our current residence," said Dong Shue respectfully. Chinyu slowly raised his head. His gaze swept past those 3 large words. He muttered, "5 Willows Palace. Why did you name it this way?" "Master, to the outside world, it's only said that 5 demon kings had built a palace here. The masters of this palace are these 5 demon kings. Those 5 demon kings are the 5 spiritual beasts that Master dispatched. 2 are level 9 demon kings and 3 are level 8 demon kings. This subordinate merely hides behind the scenes," said Dong Shui respectfully. Qin Yu nodded. "There's no one from the Pang Demon Emperor on the flowing mist star right now, right?" Qin Yu asked. Dong Shui nodded and said, "That's right. For such a small planet, the Pang Demon Emperor would not dispatch experts to come here. Furthermore, even if he were to dispatch people, they would still not be able to determine the master's identity. The Pang Demon Emperor had merely dispatched people to the 5 Willows Palace 100 years ago to have them pay attention to the appearance of 3 male experts, and to report to him the moment they appear. This Pang Demon Emperor is truly smart." Qin Yu had a slight smile on his face. Qin Yu, Hou Fei and Kuro, with the strength of these 3 brothers, one would need to at least be a level 8 Demon Emperor to discover their identities. However, how many level 8 Demon Emperors were there in the entire bird clan? With the current arrangement, if they were to report to the Pang Demon Emperor as soon as they discover 3 male experts, then they would have a very large chance of success. "Well then, Dong Shui, where do we usually live?" Qin Yu asked. Dong Shui said respectfully, "Master, the 5 Willows Palace's Clear Flow Mansion is the place that this subordinate has prepared for Master. Master and the other lords can usually live there. You can also stroll around the flowing mist star as you wish. This subordinate can guarantee that no one on the flowing mist star would know of Master's identity." Qin Yu's immortal awareness spread out. Little Tong seems to have changed her attire. Qin Yu took a step forward and arrived inside the 5 Willows Palace. Inside the garden of the Clear Flow Mansion, other than Dong Shui and Hei Tong, no one else was allowed to enter the Clear Flow Mansion. Currently, Hei Tong looked like a young lady. She wore a yellow gown, had bright eyes and white teeth. Her appearance was very adorable and beautiful. At this moment, Hei Tong was fiddling with a flower. From time to time, a smile would appear on her face. No one knew what she was thinking about. "Little Tong." A familiar voice sounded. Confused, Hei Tong turned around. Upon seeing who it was, she shouted in pleasant surprise, "Oldest uncle." As she shouted, she immediately threw herself into Qin Yu's bosom, with an intention from Qin Yu. Kuro, Hou Fei, Bai Ling, Yi Chu and Wu Lan immediately appeared in the courtyard. Kuro, Hou Fei and them were still a bit startled. They immediately looked to their surroundings. However, they immediately came back to their senses and displayed ecstasy on their faces. "Father, mother, eldest uncle Wu." Hei Tong's eyes were shining. "Little Tong." Bai Ling was so happy that her eyes had turned red. "Big brother." Hou Fei and Kuro also looked to Qin Yu excitedly. Chapter 419. Regardless of whether it was Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Kuro or Xiao Hei, they had all not seen each other for a long time. Everyone was extremely excited. On the same day, they set up a banquet in the 5 Willows Palace's Clear Flow Mansion. Toasting each other, everyone appeared to be very excited. Their faces were filled with smiles. Qin Yu swept his gaze across the crowd. His level 9 Immortal Emperor immortal awareness clearly discovered everyone's strength. Suddenly, Qin Yu looked to Yi Chu in astonishment. "Yi Chu, you've also reached level 8 Demon Emperor?" Qin Yu did not find it strange that Fei and Xiao Hei had made great progress. With the black stick, cloud-piercing spear and the aptitude of super-divine beasts bestowed upon them by Uncle Lon, there was no need to doubt their rapid progress. This Yi Chu seemed to have been a level 7 Demon Emperor for a very long time. How did he manage to break through in 1,000 years? "What? You're allowed to progress so quickly, but I'm not allowed to," said Yi Chu proudly. Suddenly, Yi Chu looked to Qin Yu and asked, "Qin Yu, could it be that your 9 steps dark gold body has made another breakthrough?" Qin Yu smiled and was about to speak. "You must not tell me that you've reached the 7th floor," said Yi Chu solemnly. "Oh!" Qin Yu was slightly puzzled. Why didn't Yi Chu want him to tell him? I'm afraid that I won't be able to withstand the shock, said Yi Chu with resentment. You've only been outside the Jianglan's realm for 100 years. To reach the 7th floor from the 6th floor in 100 years, if you've truly accomplished that, then you're not human. Qin Yu understood. Haha. Back when I was bitterly training in the Jianglan's realm for 1,000 years, I had already stayed at the 6th floor for several hundred years. Now that I've reached the 7th floor, it's not that fast either. Qin Yu said with a smile. Yi Chu said with a stammer. You've really reached the 7th floor? Earlier, Yi Chu was merely guessing for fun. He did not expect that Qin Yu had really reached the 7th floor. Even if I reached the 7th level, I'm afraid I'm still a little weaker than you. You're already at the 8th level. Fei, your progress is quite fast. Qin Yu looked at Hou Fei. Haha, that goes without saying. Hou Fei revealed a complacent look. Currently, Hou Fei was already a level 7 demon emperor. One must know that the further one goes, the more difficult it will be. Even with Hou Fei's talent and the assistance of the Black Stick, Hou Fei still spent close to 1,000 years to break through. Monkey had only reached a breakthrough 10 years ago. If Big Brother had managed to open the Jianglan's realm after being in the outside world for exactly 100 years, then I reckon Monkey would still be a level 6 demon emperor. Kuro deliberately undermined Monkey. Don't be jealous of me, mixed hair bird. If you want to reach level 7 demon emperor, you'll have to wait at least another several thousand years, said Hou Fei complacently. However, Qin Yu was pondering in his heart. After the bitter training this time around, his brother's strength had all increased by a lot, especially Hou Fei, a level 7 demon emperor super divine beast. He was on par with Ao Wuming. If his miraculous stick techniques were to be added on, then he would be able to compete against a level 9 immortal emperor. As for Qin Yu, there was not much of a difference. At the very least, if a level 8 immortal emperor were to stand in front of Qin Yu, it would be akin to throwing away his life. Qin Yu. Wu Lan, who stood to the side, smiled and said, looking at the strength that you 3 brothers possess now, even if 3 level 9 immortal emperors were to attack you 3 would still be able to safely escape. I, Wushu, and them would not be of much help to you 3 anymore. Evidently, Wu Lan believed that Qin Yu possessed enough strength to protect himself. It's still not enough, said Qin Yu helplessly. With our current strength, we are not afraid of Emperor Yu or the Mystic Emperor. Merely that Pang Demon Emperor is too hard to deal with. Back then I had personally witnessed his speed. His speed was at least 3 to 4 times faster than mine. If we were to truly fight, I would be at a complete disadvantage. Furthermore, the Pang Demon Emperor's attack is extremely powerful. Even with my current defense, I believe that he would be able to break through my defense with a single full-strength punch. Pang Demon Emperor, Dragon Emperor, Great Ape Emperor. These 3 people are not people that ordinary level 9 immortal emperors could compare with. Qin Yu took a deep breath and said. The current Qin Yu was not afraid of ordinary experts. However, enemies that possessed inherited treasures were still too powerful. Against the Dragon Emperor, I am completely no match for him. However, in the moment of danger, I am still able to block the Pang Demon Emperor and save your life, said Wu Lan with a light smile. Yi Chu, who stood to the side, also opened his mouth wide. He laughed and said, Qin Yu, you can rest assured. With Boss Wu Lan's strength, that Dragon Emperor might not be a match for him. However, the Pang Demon Emperor would be able to block him. Even if it were me, after my 9 steps dark gold body reached the 9th stage, I would still dare to compete against the Pang Demon Emperor. Qin Yu looked to Wu Lan in shock. However, he was pleasantly surprised in his heart. Back then, the Dragon Emperor had once used his martial power to suppress Immortal Emperor Yang and forced him to release Ao Wushu. At that time, Wu Lan had already admitted that he was inferior to the Dragon Emperor. Qin Yu had always thought that, since Wu Lan was inferior to the Dragon Emperor, he should also be inferior to the Pang Demon Emperor. After all, The Pang Demon Emperor and the Dragon Emperor were about the same level. However, who would have thought that Wu Lan would say such a thing today? Senior Wu Lan, isn't this Pang Demon Emperor's strength about the same level as the Dragon Emperor? Kuro, who stood to the side, asked. Qin Yu, Hou Fei and them also looked to Wu Lan. This was also what they were puzzled about. Wu Lan lightly smiled and said, as the saying goes, everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. Although the Pang Demon Emperor and the Dragon Emperor are about the same level, I just happened to be able to counter this Pang Demon Emperor. Thus I was able to block him. Of course I was only able to block him. His speed was too fast. It was impossible for me to defeat him. Oh, Qin Yu somewhat understood. Uncle Wu, you're so amazing. Little Tong offers a toast to Uncle Wu. Hei Tong, who had been listening the entire time, suddenly stood up and said with a beaming smile. Wu Lan looked to Hei Tong. His eyes were filled with pampering. Good, good. A toast from Little Tong, of course I'll have to drink it. Wu Lan, Yi Chu and even Ao Wushu were all extremely pampering toward Hei Tong. After all, they had watched her grow up. After the banquet, Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Kuro and Bai Ling stayed in the Clear Flow Mansion. Wu Lan also stayed in the Clear Flow Mansion. To Wu Lan, there was no need for him to be anxious about training. As for Yi Chu, he had entered the Zhonglan's realm to train. Yi Chu also wanted to rely on the Zhonglan's realm to reach level 9 Demon Emperor earlier. The days on the Flowing Mist Star were very peaceful and happy for Qin Yu and them. Usually, the three brothers would spar with each other, drink to their heart's content and tour the natural sceneries of the Flowing Mist Star. They were very carefree. As for Wu Lan, he was also leisurely strolling around the three cities of the Flowing Mist Star. His days were very pleasant. On this day, Qin Yu and his brothers were drinking wine in a courtyard. As for Qin Yu, he stopped drinking and looked to the sky. He seemed to be thinking about something. Big brother, what are you thinking about? Hou Fei and Kuro glanced at each other. Soon after, Hou Fei put down his wine cup and asked, oh, Qin Yu woke up from his memories. Earlier I was thinking, we've been in the immortal devil and demon realm. Even if we were to merely calculate the time in the immortal devil and demon realm, it would still be several hundred years. I wonder if my royal father, my big brother and second brother have ascended to the immortal devil and demon realm, said Qin Yu with a slight sigh. With the cultivation speed of royal father and them, I reckon they haven't. However, it's hard to say what the truth is. Who knows if my royal father and them have cultivated very quickly. Qin Yu had a bitter smile on his face. Kuro, who stood to the side, comforted him. Big brother, don't think too much about it. Once you step onto the path of cultivation, you can only rely on yourself. If you can help, then help. If you can't help, then don't think too much about it. Qin Yu nodded. Hey big brother, that second layer space of the Zhonglan's realm, are you able to open it now? Hou Fei suddenly asked. Your current strength is already very strong. You should be able to open it, right? Qin Yu shook his head. Open the second layer space of the Zhonglan's realm. His current strength was indeed pretty good. He had reached the 7th stage of the 9 steps dark gold body. His 9 steps force was also very powerful. However, it was still not enough to open the second layer space of the Zhonglan's realm. I am still quite far away from being able to open the second layer space of the Zhonglan's realm. This matter cannot be rushed. As Qin Yu said that, he suddenly turned around to look. Hou Fei and Kuro also turned around to look. They saw Hei Tong wearing a yellow gown smiling charmingly. Little Tong, what's the matter? Kuro appeared to be ice cold. He also gave off the feeling of a strict father. Hei Tong took a glance at Kuro and laughed. Father, I want to go to the green-blue star and stroll around. Green-blue star? Kuro was confused. What do you want to do there? This flowing mist star doesn't seem to be small. It should be enough for you to stroll around the 3 cities of the flowing mist star. Hei Tong humphed. She then changed her target and looked to Qin Yu. Her large eyes looked to Qin Yu. Eldest uncle, I want to go to the Green Blue Star. Green Blue Star is the core planet of the Green Blue Galaxy where the flowing mist star is located. That place is filled with crooks and honest folk. What do you want to do there? Qin Yu asked. I just want to go there. Last year, I even went to the Green Blue Star to stroll around with my master. Not many people knew of me there. I'm not in any danger. He Tong hurriedly explained. Hearing that, Qin Yu smiled. Okay, if you want to go then go. Yay, eldest uncle treats me the best, said He Tong sweetly as she hugged Qin Yu. Big brother, said Kuro with a frown. Enough, mixed hairbird. Isn't it just going to the Green Blue Star? What's the big deal about it? Said Ho Fei. Qin Yu said. Xiao He, my current soul realm has already reached level 9 Immortal Emperor level. Even for the Pang Demon Emperor. His soul realm is only level 8 Demon Emperor. As long as I follow little Tong, she will not be in any danger. Qin Yu was very confident. Now that his soul realm had reached a high level, only a few people in the entire Immortal, Devil and Demon realm were able to discover him. However, he was able to discover others. Okay then. Kuro nodded. He then looked to He Tong with a stern expression. Little Tong, you must definitely listen to your eldest uncle. Eldest uncle, you're also going, said He Tong with a bitter expression. What's wrong, can't I? Qin Yu asked with a smile on his face. He had a feeling. That little Tong seemed to have a little secret. No problem. He Tong tried her best to squeeze out a smile. Green Blue Star. As the core planet of a galaxy, the number of experts here was clearly a lot higher than the flowing mist star. There were also a lot of Immortal and Devil realm experts here. As for Qin Yu and He Tong, they were currently in a restaurant. On the palm of He Tong's hand under the table was a transmission spiritual pearl. Eldest uncle, I want to go out and stroll around the city by myself, said He Tong as she stared at Qin Yu. By yourself? Qin Yu was a bit confused. He Tong nodded repeatedly. She then pouted her little mouth and said coquettishly, Eldest uncle, just let me go out and stroll around. I want to see what sort of little game you're going to play. Qin Yu's immortal awareness had already discovered the transmission spiritual pearl in He Tong's hand. Okay then. However, don't mess around and cause trouble for me. Hee, of course. He Tong cheerfully rushed out of the restaurant and slipped away. However, Qin Yu's immortal awareness had instantly covered the entire Green Blue Star. Unless there was an expert whose soul had reached level 9 Immortal Emperor, no one would be able to detect Qin Yu's probing. Hey, Yue, have you heard about the huge commotion that occurred in our Immortal realm? An immortal in the restaurant spoke. I've been staying in the demon realm the entire time. Thus, I'm not very familiar with the situation in the Immortal realm. Another cyan-gowned youth nodded and said, That's right. Right now, a huge commotion has occurred in the Immortal realm. Several hundred years ago, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor combined their powers. Not long ago, another power emerged. The leader seemed to be called the Flame Emperor. And a few days ago, the Cyan Emperor abdicated his position and gave his leader position to his brother. The Cyan Emperor was perfectly fine. Why did he abdicate his position? That immortal asked. This youth called Yu Wei shook his head and said, Who knows? Back then, Emperor Yu was defeated by Senior Qin Yu and forced to abdicate his position. This Cyan Emperor's reputation is widespread. Why would he abdicate his position? The Cyan Emperor abdicated his position. Qin Yu frowned. He raised his wine cup and drank it in one gulp. However, he was still pondering in his heart. I remember back then at the Crescent Moon Bay, the Cyan Emperor's martial techniques seemed to have been successfully completed. For him to abdicate his position now, could it be that he wants to undergo the divine tribulation? Qin Yu's heart shook. Also, when did the Immortal Realm have a Flame Emperor? I've never heard of him. Forget about it. Qin Yu stopped thinking about it. At this moment, groups of people in the restaurant were chatting unceasingly. Some were chatting about the various big shots in the immortal devil and demon realm. Some were also chatting about the trifling matters of the sections. Suddenly, Qin Yu's eyes shined. So, that little lass Hei Tong came to the Green Blue Star for this. Inside another restaurant's private room, Hei Tong was currently chatting with a level 1 heavenly demon youth. This youth appeared to be very simple and honest. He always had a simple smile on his face. "Big guy, you didn't wait too long, right? Came out a month late," said Hei Tong while giggling. Her pair of quick-witted eyes were looking at this simple and honest youth. The simple and honest youth repeatedly shook his head. "No, I don't have anything to do anyways. Usually I would train on a mountain outside the city." "Big guy here." Hei Tong extended her hand. 10 high-quality elemental spirit stones appeared on the table. "Seeing that your power is so low and that you're so poor, take these high-quality elemental spirit stones back and train properly. I have a lot of these things." The simple and honest youth repeatedly shook his head. No, I can't take them. If you don't want them, then I'm leaving." After saying that, Hei Tong displayed an angry appearance and was about to walk out. The simple and honest youth grew anxious. At this moment, he didn't know whether to stop Hei Tong or to take the 10 high-quality elemental spirit stones. At this moment, a trace of a smile was flickering through Hei Tong's eyes. This naughty little lass, so she's actually in love. In another restaurant far away, Qin Yu started to laugh. He raised his cup and slowly drank. Chapter 420. Just by looking at this young man's yuanying, I can tell that he is only a level 1 heavenly demon. However, his soul's realm has reached level 3 heavenly demon. This is truly strange. A trace of doubt emerged in Qin Yu's mind. How powerful was Qin Yu right now? Qin Yu was able to see through that young man's background with a single glance. That young man's true form ought to be an ordinary monstrous beast from the Flying Bear clan. He might not even be a divine beast. As he was thinking, Qin Yu's immortal awareness began to carefully observe what was happening between Hei Tong and that young man in the restaurant. "I'll accept it, okay?" the simple and honest young man hurriedly said. Only then did Hei Tong sit back down in satisfaction. "That's more like it." Hei Tong seemed to be very happy. "Big guy, I didn't have the time to know your name the last time I met you. Can you tell me your name?" The simple and honest young man took a deep breath, gathered his courage and said, "My name is Guofan." "Guofan, oh Guofan." Hei Tong muttered. "My name is Hei Tong." A voice suddenly sounded. The voice was very soft, so soft that even Guofan did not hear it clearly. Guofan was startled. "Young lady, what did you say earlier? You didn't hear it." Hei Tong immediately stood up and began to walk toward the outside of the private room. "Guofan, accompany me for a stroll." "You're called Hei Tong." Hei Tong, good name." Guofan said it twice in a low voice. After that, he immediately stood up. "Coming." Guofan. His true form was only an ordinary monstrous beast from the Flying Bear clan. His mother had already been killed by her enemy. Only his father was still alive. Merely, his father's cultivation was inferior to his. As for Guofan, he was extremely ambitious. After he reached the heavenly demon realm, he left his hometown and came to a large planet, the Green Blue Star. He was unable to afford to live in the Green Blue Star City. Thus, he could only live in the desolate places outside. Usually, he would grit his teeth and bitterly train. His goal was to work hard, to become a person above others so that his father would be proud of him and so that he would no longer be at the bottom. Simple and honest. That was what the majority of the people that met him thought. However, simple and honest was only Guofan's behavior. In reality, he was very smart and understood everything. "Guofan, look, the sculptures here are quite exquisite." Hei Tong excitedly stood in front of a shop on the street. She was carefully looking at the small sculpture dolls in the shop. The majority of the sculptures in this shop were in pairs. Hei Tong walked in. She immediately took a fancy to a pair. Guofan, look, isn't this fat baby the same as you? Hei Tong suddenly turned around, raised her head and said to Guofan. At this moment, Hei Tong was smiling very happily. Seeing Hei Tong, who was smiling happily with her head raised, Guofan's heart suddenly throbbed. However, a trace of inferiority emerged from the bottom of Guofan's heart. He involuntarily clenched his fists. He was fond of Hei Tong. However, ever since the first time Hei Tong casually gave him a transmission spiritual pearl so that the two of them could contact each other, Hei Tong had already become a transmission spiritual pearl. With just this, Guofan knew that Hei Tong's identity was definitely not something that he could compare with. Guofan had once decided to leave, but there was still a trace of hope in his heart. This is me and this is you. Hei Tong chose another female doll. Happily she smiled. Guofan, these two dolls, how about we buy them? Boss, I'll buy these two carvings. Guofan turned around and said to the boss. 3 pieces of low-quality elemental spirit stones. Said that old man indifferently. 3 pieces of low-quality elemental spirit stones sounded very cheap. However, in reality it was merely 2 carvings. Had it been during normal times, Guofan would not be willing to spend 3 pieces of low-quality elemental spirit stones to purchase 2 useless carvings. Here are 3 pieces of low-quality elemental spirit stones. Guofan straightforwardly paid the bill without the slightest hesitation. Guofan turned around and looked to Hei Tong. Suddenly, a slight redness appeared on his face. Tong, can I call you Tong Tong? Ah! Hei Tong opened her eyes wide and looked to Guofan. Only after a short moment did she react. Tong Tong, if you want to call me that, then go ahead. Your mouth is on your face. I am unable to control it. Hei Tong mumbled a few random words. Then, with a red face, she took the 2 sculptures and walked out. Yay! Guofan clenched his hands. An uncontrollable excitement emerged from the bottom of his heart. He's truly simple and honest. However, he's a bit better than me back then. Qin Yu had been watching this scene from beginning to end. At the very least, this Guofan still dares to take a step forward. Back then I was together with Li Er for so long, yet I did not say a single word. Merely by looking at Guofan's performance earlier, Qin Yu had grown fond of this simple and honest youth. If this Guofan were to become Hei Tong's companion, then at the very least, Qin Yu believed that he would definitely support it. At this moment, Guofan still didn't know that there was a super expert paying attention to him. He was still excited and excited. Even his face was slightly hot. As for the current Hei Tong, she was even more unbearable. Her face was as red as an apple. Guofan and Hei Tong were walking side by side on the street. Momentarily, neither of them knew what to say. Guofan, say something. Hei Tong suddenly spoke. I don't know what to say. At this moment, Guofan still felt that he was floating. Hei Tong suddenly said. Guofan, which road are we walking on right now? How many turns have we taken? Guofan looked to his surroundings. Guofan suddenly discovered that he seemed to be lost. Earlier, Guofan, who was in a state of excitement, was floating. His mind was filled with all sorts of thoughts. He was simply not looking at the road at all. Even when he was walking, he was randomly walking. Oh, that's right, I remember now. Guofan suddenly saw an enormous building with over 100 floors. Seeing this landmark building, Guofan began to recall the road. After all, he had stayed in the Green Blue Star for a period of time. I'm not too sure about the name of this road. However, I know the direction and so on. Hei Tong seemed to have recovered her liveliness from before. Guofan, can you tell me about your parents? My father. He's a servant in a restaurant on an ordinary planet in the Green Blue Galaxy. My father's greatest wish is for me to reach the Demon King level. With that, I would be one of the most powerful people on that planet of mine. Guofan's gaze was misty. He shook his head and said, however, I do not wish to confine myself to a small planet. Thus I came to the Green Blue Star. I have been working hard to train the entire time, working very hard. I believe that there will be a day when I will be able to accomplish something. Guo Fan clenched his right fist tightly. Hei Tong raised her head and looked to Guo Fan. Suddenly, she felt that the current Guo Fan was a bit different from his usual simple and honest appearance. However, the current Guo Fan was even more attractive to her. Guo Fan, do you have a goal? Hei Tong suddenly asked. Goal? I do not have a clear goal. I merely want no one to be able to oppress me or my loved ones. I only want to live comfortably and happily with my loved ones. However, I know that in a world like the immortal devil and demon realm, one must possess sufficient strength. Thus I must work hard, said Guo Fan firmly. Foolish boy. Qin Yu lightly smiled. He then raised his head and drank a cup of wine. Live comfortably and happily without anyone threatening or oppressing you. Even if you reach the emperor level, there would still be threats. This sort of goal might not seem too far away, but in reality, it's still not enough for you to reach the emperor level. Seeing Guo Fan, Qin Yu recalled himself when he was in the mortal realm. Back then, wasn't he also trying to let his loved ones live comfortably and not be threatened? As he continued to advance, his current strength was already close to that of an ordinary level 9 immortal emperor. However, he still needed to work hard. Foolish boy, I hope that you'll be able to live more comfortably than me. Everyone has their own path. Guo Fan also has his own path. Guo Fan and Hei Tong chatted idly. They chatted about their past, about their friends and loved ones. Gradually, half a day had passed. Guo Fan, I'm afraid that I can only stay in the Green Blue Star for a couple days. If it wasn't for my eldest uncle, I reckon that I wouldn't even have the opportunity to reach the Green Blue Star. Hei Tong pouted her little mouth and said in a slightly helpless manner. Guo Fan said confusedly, could it be that your parents don't even allow you to go to the Green Blue Star? My parents have an enemy. That enemy's strength is very strong. My parents are still a bit lacking, said Hei Tong helplessly. However, I know that my eldest uncle and them are very strong right now. Soon we will not need to fear that enemy. I believe that your eldest uncle and them will succeed. Guo Fan nodded. Young lady, you're also from our Eagle clan. Suddenly, a voice sounded from not far away. Guo Fan and Hei Tong simultaneously raised their heads to look. They saw a black-clothed youth walking over with two middle-aged men with a smile on his face. That black-clothed youth carefully looked at Hei Tong. Eagle clan. Furthermore, she's a divine beast of the Eagle clan. Uncle, she meets the requirements, right? Those two middle-aged men both looked to Hei Tong with a gaze as if they were inspecting goods. Soon after, one of the middle-aged men nodded and said, This woman meets the requirements. Ah! After all this time I've finally met someone that I like, said the black-clothed youth excitedly. What are you all doing? Hei Tong glared at them and said angrily. Guo Fan, who stood to the side, also felt that the situation was bad. Merely, Guo Fan continued to stand beside Hei Tong. No matter what, he would not dodge. The black-clothed youth said with a beaming smile. Young lady, I am Lu Chu from the Eagle clan. My true form is a high-level divine beast, Cyan Fire Eagle. According to the rules of the Eagle clan, as a high-level divine beast, my partner must be from the Eagle clan. At the same time, she must be a divine beast. Because of that, our descendant will have a greater chance to be a Cyan Fire Eagle. In your dreams, Hei Tong was enraged. Like an angry little lion, she said. You scoundrel brat. You actually dare to treat this young lady like this. I will definitely make you regret it. Little girl. A middle-aged man behind the black-clothed youth said indifferently. Young Master Lu Chu is the next clan chief of our Eagle clan. As a clansman of the Eagle clan, you have the responsibility to sacrifice yourself for our clan. Young Master Lu Chu has chosen you. You must accept it. This is your honor. If you were to resist, then the consequences would not be something that you can bear. Hei Tong cursed angrily. Bullshit. You're truly shrewish. Your angry appearance is truly adorable. The black-clothed youth appeared to be very happy. Hei Tong's angry appearance was indeed adorable. Qin Yu, Ho Fei and the others had also said that Hei Tong would usually feel happy about this. However, at this moment Hei Tong was angry. Tong Tong, you leave first. Guofan suddenly stood in front of Tong Tong. His gaze was as calm as water. Tong Tong is already my partner. If you all wish to snatch her, then you must pass through me. At this moment, Guofan did not care about life and death. At this moment, Guofan believed that he must stand out. Pass through you. Oi. The black-clothed youth seemed to have heard some sort of joke. Are you muddle-headed? You're only a level 1 heavenly demon. This young lady is stronger than you. Do you know what my cultivation is? Level 1 demon emperor. Do you know the strength of my 2 uncles? They're both much stronger than me. Guofan's heart trembled. 3 emperor-level experts. In the past, emperor-level experts were unattainable in his heart. However, at this moment, Guofan, who had the determination to die, did not back down in the slightest. Hei Tong was not worried. She merely looked at the current Guofan. She carefully looked at Guofan's expression. It was as if she wanted to forever remember this expression in her heart. Big brother Guofan, you're simply unable to stop them. Why are you still trying to stop them? If I were to live today, I would regret it my entire life. Guofan slightly raised his head. He stared at the 3 emperor-level experts before him. They are able to kill me. However, they are unable to make my heart yield to them. I will look down on them from the bottom of my heart, even if I were to die. An indescribable radiance flashed through Guofan's eyes. At this moment, the scene of his father entrusting him with his task appeared in Guofan's mind. The expectations his father had for him. However, today, Guofan clenched his teeth. The gaze in his eyes grew even more resolute. Good boy, you've got guts. The black-clothed youth smiled. If you want to look down on me, then so be it. I'll kill you right now and snatch away the girl you like. What can you do about it? The black-clothed youth had a faint disdain in his eyes. Eldest uncle, if you continue to watch the show like this and don't come out, I will no longer bother with you in the future. Hei Tong suddenly said loudly. Qin Yu, who was watching the show in the restaurant, was startled. Who? A grave and stern man suddenly appeared before Hei Tong and Guofan. Merely at this moment, this man had a slightly embarrassed expression on his face. Eldest uncle, you're finally willing to come out. Hei Tong pouted her mouth. These 3 people are too repulsive. Qin Yu looked to Guofan. You're cold, Guofan. Not bad, lad. Guofan felt a burst of warmth from Qin Yu's amiable gaze. At this moment, he seemed to not be afraid of those 3 emperor-level experts in the slightest. Who are you? Do you wish to meddle in the matters of our Eagle clan? The black-clothed youth shouted. However, he was emitting the aura of a superior. Eagle clan, I don't even care about your clan chief, Lu Tuesday. Why would I care about you 3 kids? Qin Yu said with a light smile. Guofan suddenly saw a scene that stunned him. 3 afterimages suddenly appeared before those 3 people. Soon after, the 3 afterimages disappeared. Qin Yu returned to his original location. It was as if he had never moved. Bang! 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 Those 3 people fell to the ground with a loud bang. I hate forcing people the most. Especially forcing my loved ones. With a wave of his sleeve, Qin Yu turned those 3 corpses into ashes and disappeared. After reaching the 7th stage of the 9 steps dark gold body, one's entire body was comparable to a low-quality divine artifact. Qin Yu's entire body, regardless of whether it was his fists, legs or fingers, they were all divine artifacts. Furthermore, they were divine artifacts that could instantly restore themselves. With his strength, how could 3 demon emperors, with the strongest being a level 5 demon emperor, possibly survive? Little Tong, that brat is dead. It's a bit troublesome for us to stay here. Let's go back. Qin Yu said with a smile. Go back. Can't we wait a couple more days? Hei Tong suddenly turned around and looked to Guofan. Her eyes were filled with reluctance. Guofan also had reluctance in his heart. We can't continue to stay here. Qin Yu was not afraid of the level 8 demon Emperor Lu Tuesday. However, he disliked troubles. Hearing Qin Yu saying that they couldn't stay here so firmly, a trace of disappointment and reluctance flashed through Hei Tong and Guofan's eyes. Qin Yu suddenly pointed to Guofan. However, this brat can come with us. If he stays here, once the Eagle clan investigates, he will definitely die. Yay, I knew that eldest uncle is the best. Hei Tong excitedly hugged Qin Yu. Qin Yu smiled. Didn't you just say that you're going to ignore me in the future? Eldest uncle. Hei Tong's face turned red. However, she still sneaked a glance at Guofan. Guofan also had a joyous expression on his face. Merely, he also sneaked a glance at Qin Yu. The 3 Emperor-level experts that were unreachable in his eyes earlier had actually died in a blink of an eye. I wonder when I will be as powerful as eldest Uncle Tong Tong. Guofan couldn't help but clench his fist. Chapter 421. In the outskirts of the green-blue star city, Big Brother Guofan, my eldest uncle, is about to use greater teleportation. You just have to stand there obediently, said Hei Tong to Guofan in a low voice. Guofan said in surprise. Are we not going to use the interstellar conveying arrays? Even ordinary demon emperors would rarely use greater teleportation to travel. After all, the distance between greater teleportation and interstellar conveying arrays was very large. If we use the interstellar conveying arrays, I will be able to bring you 2 back with me merely the time needed to line up. Qin Yu grabbed the 2 of them with each hand and used greater teleportation. In an instant he disappeared. It was impossible for Qin Yu to arrive at the flowing mist star with the 2 of them. He stopped for a moment on a barren planet and then used greater teleportation again to bring Hei Tong and Guofan to the flowing mist star. Inside the flowing mist star's 5 Willows Palace's clear flow mansion's guest room, Ho Fei, Kuro, Bai Ling, Wu Lan and even Dong Shui were all carefully looking at Guofan. Never would I have expected that. Little Tong, little girl, you've only been out for a short period of time and you've already brought back a lover. Even now, your second uncle, I do not have a lover. Ho Fei stuck his head out and stared at Guofan and Hei Tong while ridiculing them. Hei Tong pouted her mouth. Occasionally, she would look at the seniors in front of her. Then, she would lower her head bashfully. As for Guofan, he was a bit reserved. He was able to sense that the group of people in front of him were all extraordinary experts. Big Brother Guofan, let me introduce you. Hei Tong pulled Guofan. She first looked to Wu Lan. Big Brother Guofan, this is eldest Uncle Wu Lan. Eldest Uncle Wu Lan likes me the most. You should address him the same way I do. Wu Lan chuckled and nodded. Guofan pays his respects to eldest Uncle Wu Lan. Guofan was very reserved. Although he wanted to act natural, the group of people in front of him, merely by standing there casually, gave him a frightening psychological pressure. After all, this was a group of Emperor-level experts. Furthermore, they were extremely powerful Emperor-level experts. Hei Tong then looked to Qin Yu. This is my eldest uncle. You know him too. My eldest uncle is a very good person. Furthermore, his words are very useful. Guofan pays his respects to eldest uncle. Hearing what Hei Tong said, Guofan came to understand that his eldest uncle's words were very useful in this group. Qin Yu smiled faintly and nodded. This is my second uncle. He doesn't act like an old man and always makes fun of me, said Hei Tong as she wrinkled her nose. Ho Fei immediately opened his eyes wide. The group of people in the living room all started to chuckle. Even Kuro, who didn't have a good expression from the very beginning, had a slight smile on his face. Ho Fei immediately opened his mouth to speak. However, my second uncle is the one who gets along with me the most. In fact, he cares about me a lot," said Haitong sweetly. Only then did Ho Fei nod his head in satisfaction. With a smile he said, "Girl, at least you understand my thoughts." Guofan pays his respects to second uncle. Guofan said respectfully, Ho Fei put on airs and nodded his head. Immediately after, he opened his eyes wide. "Boy, listen carefully. If I were to find out that you were to bully little Tong in the future, I will chop you into 8 pieces." Ho Fei opened his eyes wide. His eyes burst forth with flame-like radiance. This caused Guofan to be startled. Guofan merely nodded his head. At the same time, he took a glance at Haitong, who stood to the side. "This is my master. I am on the flowing mist star. You've already met her last time." Haitong introduced Dong Shui. Guofan immediately bowed. In the past, Haitong had gone to the green-blue star with Dong Shui. When Guofan got to know Haitong, he also got to know her master. Haitong pulled Guofan's hand and walked over to Kuro and Bai Ling. In a somewhat serious manner she said, "These are my parents." Guofan opened his mouth. He didn't know how to address them. Kuro frowned and coldly humphed. Guofan's heart couldn't help but tremble. Kuro placed great importance on strength. And this Guofan was merely an ordinary monstrous beast. Kuro was even worried. Once the 3 of them ascended to the divine realm, how would Guofan be able to take care of his daughter? And now, seeing how dull Guofan was, he grew even angrier. "Guofan, you can just call them uncle and aunt," said Qin Yu with a smile on his face. Guofan glanced at Qin Yu gratefully. Immediately he said respectfully, "Guofan pays his respects to uncle and aunt." Good, good. Bai Ling was very happy. Kuro merely lightly nodded his head. On the same day, a banquet was held in the Clear Flow Mansion. Henceforth, Guofan became a member of the 5 Willows Palace. The 5 Willows Palace could be said to be the local tyrant of the flowing mist star. Even though the Eagle clan possessed enormous power, their tentacles extended to the flowing mist star and were unable to discover Guofan's identity. The banquet. Qin Yu, Kuro, and Ho Fei walked out of the living room. "Xiaohei, you don't seem to like this Guofan." Qin Yu had long noticed that Kuro didn't like Guofan. Kuro indifferently said, "Little Tong likes this silly kid. I can't do anything about it. It's just that this Guofan's aptitude is very ordinary. In terms of cultivation speed, all 3 of us brothers are exceptional. But this Guofan, I have never thought of relying on him to protect little Tong in the future. Don't mind it too much. Everyone has their own opportunities. Aptitude is important, but personal effort is even more important. How would you know Guofan's future achievements? Furthermore, little Tong likes this kid. That's the most important thing," Qin Yu explained. Seeing the expression on Kuro's face, Qin Yu knew that Kuro didn't approve of it. Thus he changed the topic and said, "Xiaohei, this time on the green-blue star, I've killed 3 demon emperors from the Eagle clan. One of them was even a high-level divine beast Scion Flame Eagle. I reckon that the Eagle clan would not let this matter rest." Eagle clan. Kuro and Ho Fei were slightly startled. However, there was no trace of concern on their faces. Currently, in the Bird clan, only the Pang Demon Emperor was capable of causing the 3 brothers to be careful. The reason why I've said all this is to have you all pay attention. I'll immediately have Dong Shui pay attention to the outsiders on the flowing mist star. After all, the less trouble the better. Qin Yu also did not care much about it. Inside the Imperial Palace on the core planet of the Bird clan, the Black Crow Star, the Pang Demon Emperor Zhong Yan and his 2 subordinates, Level 8 Demon Emperors Ao Ku and Lu Tu, were currently drinking wine and chatting. Lu Tu suddenly took out a transmission spiritual pearl. After a short moment, Lu Tu started to frown. He immediately stood up and said respectfully to the Pang Demon Emperor, "Your Majesty, something has happened in this subordinate's clan. I wish to return and settle it." "What's the big matter?" "It's not too late to leave after drinking wine." said Aoku with a smile. The Pang Demon Emperor's gaze swept past Lu Tuesday. What's the big matter? Lu Tu immediately said respectfully. Not long ago, our clan's future clan chief and 2 demon emperors were killed by a mysterious expert on the green-blue star. Mysterious expert, said the Pang Demon Emperor with a slightly disdainful expression. Your Eagle clan's next clan chief seemed to have reached level 1 demon emperor. Furthermore, there were 2 demon emperors. How powerful were they? I reckon that the person who killed them was only ordinary. Lu Tu said respectfully. To your majesty, that mysterious expert was naturally ordinary. However, he had killed our clan's future clan chief. As the current clan chief, I must take care of this mysterious expert. Leave after drinking wine, said the Pang Demon Emperor indifferently without allowing any resistance. Lu Tu did not dare to say any more. It was destined that he would not be able to drink this wine peacefully. After drinking 2 cups, the Pang Demon Emperor picked up a transmission spiritual pearl. Zhong Yan, it's been a long time since we've contacted each other. That message had completely awakened the Pang Demon Emperor from his drunken stupor. That was because the person who sent this message was an expert that even the Pang Demon Emperor was unable to see through. The Saiyan Emperor with the title of Eternal Youth. Brother Qi Qing, what matter do you have for me? The Pang Demon Emperor was courteous to the Saiyan Emperor. The Saiyan Emperor sent a message. I have a matter for you. To tell you the truth, in about a year's time, I will be undergoing my divine tribulation. Divine tribulation. The Pang Demon Emperor's heart violently jumped. That's right. For this divine tribulation, I've decided to invite my friends from all over the immortal, devil and demon realm to come and observe the ceremony. And now, I've come to inform you to go and observe the ceremony. Zhong Yan, are you interested in going and watching my divine tribulation? The tone of the Saiyan Emperor's message was very relaxed. A ray of light flashed through the Pang Demon Emperor's eyes. Of course I'm interested. Brother Qi Qing's divine tribulation, since you've invited me, how could I not go? For ordinary people to undergo their divine tribulation, in order to prevent others from disturbing them, they would generally not tell others about it. However, the Saiyan Emperor had invited others. This was a relatively strange matter. Merely, to people like the Pang Demon Emperor, seeing the divine tribulation in advance would also be helpful to him when he undergoes his divine tribulation in the future. Thus, he would naturally not miss it. Good, I reckon that the divine tribulation will arrive in a year's time. No matter how accurate the time, I am unable to be certain. I've already decided on the location of the divine tribulation. It will be on an uninhabited planet in the Immortal Realms Plate Egg Star Fields, Angelica de Hurica Galaxy. On the Ridge Peak Star. You only need to arrive at the Jade Wave Star. At that time, my subordinates will naturally lead you to the Ridge Peak Star. The Saiyan Emperor spoke of the location and time in detail. The Pang Demon Emperor sent a message. Good, I will definitely arrive at that time. Zhong Yan, you can also spread this news. As long as you're able to arrive at the Ridge Peak Star at that time, you'll be able to witness the ceremony. The Saiyan Emperor instructed again. Soon after, the Pang Demon Emperor cut off the transmission with the Saiyan Emperor. Merely, this transmission caused the Pang Demon Emperor to feel strange. Inside the Bird Clan's imperial palace, the Pang Demon Emperor was frowning and pondering. Your Majesty, Oku shouted in a low voice. Aoku and Lu Tu were both curious as to what the Pang Demon Emperor was thinking. The Pang Demon Emperor raised his head and looked to Lu Tu and Aoku. Lu Tu, Aoku, let me ask you too. This Saiyan Emperor is about to undergo the divine tribulation. Why did he invite everyone from the immortal, devil and demon realm? This divine tribulation is a major event. Isn't he afraid that someone will come and disturb him? Your Majesty, you said that the Saiyan Emperor is about to undergo the divine tribulation. Aoku and Lu Tu were both shocked. In their minds, the mysterious immortal Emperor Saiyan Emperor was still a level 8 immortal emperor. Who would have thought that he was about to undergo the divine tribulation? That's right, Qi Qing is about to undergo the divine tribulation. Furthermore, he invited countless people from the immortal, devil and demon realm to witness the ceremony. Say, what exactly is this Qi Qing trying to do? The Peng Demon Emperor frowned as he pondered. Lu Tu suddenly said, "This Cyan Emperor dared to do such a thing. It means that he has sufficient information regarding the divine tribulation and is not afraid that someone will come and disturb him." Ao Ku also nodded in agreement. Cyan Emperor, that old fox. He's hidden himself deeply. After training for all these years, he definitely has some sort of special method. The Peng Demon Emperor nodded and sneered. When I was still in my childhood, this Qi Qing was already one of the several overlords of the immortal realm. Yet now, Qi Qing is not in the limelight anymore. And now, he suddenly invited countless people to witness his divine tribulation. This time around, I shall see exactly what sort of powerful method Qi Qing has to be this confident in undergoing the divine tribulation. Not only the Peng Demon Emperor, in a single day, the immortal realm's Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor and the newly risen Flame Emperor, the Devil Realm's Blood Devil Emperor, Black Devil Emperor and Azura Devil Emperor, the Demon Realm's Bird Clan, Dragon Clan, Beast Clan and various other major characters had all received the Cyan Emperor's transmission. The content of the transmission was very simple. It was to invite this group of people to witness the divine tribulation. Furthermore, when the Cyan Emperor sent the transmission, he also instructed them to spread the news of the Cyan Emperor's divine tribulation so that even more people could attend the ceremony. All those who were able to arrive on the Ridge Peak Star were to attend the ceremony. To be so extravagant to invite countless experts from the immortal devil and demon realm to attend the ceremony, this was something that was extremely rare in the history of the immortal devil and demon realm. Of course, there were people like this in the history. However, the majority of them were the three emperors of the demon realm. There was not a single immortal emperor in the immortal realm that dared to do such a thing. Qin Yu, who was on the flowing mist star, had also received the Cyan Emperor's transmission. In the transmission, the Cyan Emperor even praised Qin Yu. He praised Qin Yu for being able to kill a level 8 demon emperor by Feng by himself. This meant that Qin Yu had at least become a peak level expert in the immortal, devil and demon realm. Only a few people were able to slightly suppress Qin Yu. Flowing Mist Star. Inside the clear flow mansion of the Five Willows Palace. Fei Xiaohei, the two of you prepare yourselves. We'll set off in 2 days. To us, the Cyan Emperor's divine tribulation this time is also a good opportunity. Let's take a look at the situation of the divine tribulation so that we can prepare ourselves for the divine tribulation in the future. Qin Yu said directly. Divine tribulation, we must definitely take a look. Ho Fei was a bit excited. Kuro muttered to himself. Big brother, how many people should we bring this time? The immortal realm is still very far from the flowing mist star. If we were to go, it would take a long time for us to return. The three of us, Wu Lan and Bai Ling, will follow us. As for Gua Fan and Little Tong, they'll stay in the Five Willows Palace and have Dong Shui take care of them. On top of that, this flowing mist star can be considered to be our world. No one would be able to find out about it. It's still very safe. Qin Yu said after thinking for a bit. Kuro and Ho Fei also nodded in agreement. Suddenly, Qin Yu flipped his hand and took out his transmission spiritual pearl. Qin Yu, you've also received the Cyan Emperor's transmission, right? This message was sent by the Dragon Clan's prince, Ao Wuming. I've received it. Qin Yu replied. Qin Yu, you must definitely go this time. A public divine tribulation, it will definitely attract a large number of experts. Not only will Granny Yin Hua, Emperor Ni and their group of people go, even some of the true hidden experts will appear. Those hidden experts do not care about their reputation. Instead, they care about the divine tribulation. The scene this time will definitely be very big. Ao Wuming seemed to be a bit excited. True hidden experts. Qin Yu was also looking forward to it. Exactly how many hidden experts were there in the immortal, devil and demon realm? Without actually seeing them, no one would know. Chapter 422. 2 days later. Dong Shui, in the period of time that we're gone, Little Tong and Guofan are not allowed to leave the flowing mist star. Properly stay in the Five Willows Palace and train. Qin Yu instructed. Yes, master, said Dong Shui respectfully. Seeing how serious Qin Yu was, Hei Tong and Guofan did not even dare to breathe loudly. Hei Tong already knew that this uncle of hers was usually very good. However, when he became serious, he was the strictest. Fei Xiaohei, the two of you enter the Jianglan's realm first. I'll have you two come out after we enter the immortal realm. This demon realm region is still not safe enough. Qin Yu turned around and said. Qin Yu was certain that this Pang Demon Emperor had never relaxed his search for the three of them. With the strength of the Pang Demon Emperor's subordinates, it was simply impossible for them to see through the identities of Qin Yu and them. Most likely, the Pang Demon Emperor had his subordinates pay attention to the three extremely powerful men. If the three of them were to set off together, there would be the danger of being discovered. However, if Qin Yu were to set off by himself, it could be said that he would be 100% safe. After all, with his current soul's level, even if the Pang Demon Emperor were to arrive before him, he would still not be able to discover his strength. Big brother, we know. Furthermore, Mixed Hairbird is eager to accompany Bai Ling, Ho Fei said while giggling. Kuro could only smile helplessly. Soon after, Kuro and Ho Fei entered the Jianglan's realm. As for Qin Yu, he directly used greater teleportation by himself, and began to rush toward the immortal realm with a frightening speed. The immortal realm was extremely vast. The Beast Clan, Dragon Clan and Bird Clan of the Demon Realm all had their own borders with the immortal realm. Among them, the Beast Clan's borders were the most numerous. The Bird Clan's borders were the least. From the Bird Clan's borders to the immortal realm, there were two paths. The first path was extremely close. It was to cross the Dark Star Realm and enter the immortal realm. Currently, Qin Yu had yet to think about entering the Dark Star Realm. What he chose was the second path, hurrying to the Bird Clan's territory's southeastern region, following the border with the immortal realm and using the interstellar conveying array to rush over. After spending 10 days, Qin Yu leisurely arrived at the border area. There are quite a lot of experts. As soon as he arrived at the border planet, Qin Yu spread out his immortal sense. He immediately discovered that the Bird Clan's only border planet that led to the immortal world actually had nearly 10 Emperor-level experts. The number was really shocking. However, these Emperor-level experts seemed to be in a group and were going through the interstellar teleportation array together. They are probably going to watch the Qing Emperor go through the God's test. Qin Yu moved his feet and went to the side of the interstellar teleportation formation. The exact number of demonic emperors was 8. The 8 demonic emperors were chatting and laughing with one another. The strength of this eagle clan is really not small. Qin Yu sighed in his heart. Just the 8 demon thearchs before him were from the eagle tribe. Who knew how many demon thearchs the eagle tribe had in total? The second strongest faction of the bird tribe was indeed worthy of its reputation. Qin Yu didn't know much about the bird clan. Although the rock clan was the #1 power in the bird clan, their numbers were far inferior to the eagle clan. It was just that the rock clan had 2 types of super divine beasts and many experts, which allowed them to suppress the eagle clan. As for the eagle clan, the strongest were only high-level divine beasts. However, they were extremely numerous. Big brother, that man behind us seems to be very powerful. I am unable to see through him. Can you? Min. Where did this expert come from? I am also unable to see through him. In that case, he is at least a level 7 demon emperor. I reckon that he is some hidden expert of our bird clan. Our clan chief said that once the news of the Qing Emperor's divine tribulation spread out, it would definitely attract a large number of hidden experts. Hidden experts like them. Normally, one would not be able to see a single one of them. However, this group of people would all appear at such a good opportunity to watch others go through the divine tribulation. Don't randomly look at that man. Who knows how powerful he is? If we were to anger him, we brothers might all die here. Those 8 demon thearchs were conversing with each other using their demon awareness. In the end, they came to a consensus to pretend that they did not see Qin Yu. The 8 of them entered the interstellar teleportation formation in an orderly manner, and were then teleported away. Soon after, Qin Yu paid the fee and also stepped into the interstellar teleportation formation. With a flash of light, Qin Yu entered the border planet of the Immortal Realm from the Bird Clan's territory. Qin Yu, Hou Fei and Kuro were flying side by side in the sky, looking at the boundless earth. Immortal Realm, this is the Immortal Realm. I have never been to this place before. Kuro sighed and said. Hou Fei also took a deep breath, nodded and said. I have also never been to this place before. Qin Yu recalled the past. I still remember the time when I entered the demon realm from the Immortal Realm. At that time I was chased by Emperor Yu and could only hide in the Jianglan's realm. In the end, I bitterly trained and managed to open the 3rd layer of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. Only then did I defeat Emperor Yu's troops. If it were now, I would also not fear Emperor Yu in a one-on-one battle. Qin Yu was filled with confidence. 9 steps dark gold body had reached the 7th stage. Qin Yu was definitely comparable to the level 8 immortal Emperor Yu from back then. Adding on Qin Yu's astonishing recovery ability, even the current level 9 immortal Emperor Yu was comparable to Qin Yu. Kaka, big brother, if we were to encounter Emperor Yu and them again, then us 3 brothers would attack together and beat them all to a pulp. Hou Fei's words contained a trace of tyrannical aura. Qin Yu lightly smiled. Now that the 3 brothers had joined hands, they truly did not fear Emperor Yu and them at all. The matchless great sword was indeed capable of piercing through his body. However, it would not be as easily pierced through as it was when he first stepped into the Bird Clan's territory. Furthermore, now that the black hole has become even more stable, it would be a bit difficult to make it collapse. Qin Yu was very confident in his own martial technique. Other people's yuanying was very weak. However, his black hole could easily devour other people's sword aura. It was extremely stable. Let's go, us 3 brothers will have a good stroll around the Immortal Realm. Hopefully, Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor will not discover us. If they discover us, then us 3 brothers will properly trample on them. Qin Yu said with a big laugh. Hou Fei and Kuro's eyes were also shining. Soon after, the 3 brothers began to wander the Immortal Realm arrogantly. They were not in a hurry to rush to the Angelica de Hurica Galaxy's Ridge Peak star. Although the date of the heavenly tribulation was not accurate, it was still roughly a year or so. It would not be too late for Qin Yu and them to rush over after playing for half a year. The 3 brothers hid their strength and wandered the Immortal Realm. They had also encountered many people who overestimated themselves. Naturally, the 3 brothers easily defeated them. When facing different people, they would either punish them a little or restrict their martial power as punishment. As for those excessively hateful scum, they would directly kill them. The free and unfettered days were even filled with a sense of chivalry. The 3 brothers wantonly ate and drank all over the Immortal Realm. They enjoyed the unique sceneries of some of the planets in the Immortal Realm. Although it was only half a year, the 3 brothers had a much more enjoyable time than the past 1,000 years. Angelica de Hurica Galaxy, Jade Wave Star. Following a burst of light, Qin Yu and the other 2 arrived at the Jade Wave Star. Compared to the past, the 3 brothers who had experienced half a year of wandering life were a lot more cheerful. Jade Wave Star. Qin Yu scanned his surroundings. He recalled the time when he left the Jade Wave Star and was surrounded by Emperor Yu. I'm afraid that the Cyan Emperor must have something to do with the Cyan Emperor. Qin Yu understood it very well. However, he did not wish to have another enemy. Furthermore, after interacting with the Cyan Emperor, he felt that the Cyan Emperor was a pretty good person. Seniors, may I ask if the 3 of you are here to watch His Majesty's Divine Tribulation? A man wearing a standard battle armor walked over. Yes. Qin Yu nodded. May I know where the Ridge Peak Star is? The man wearing the standard battle armor smiled and said, His Majesty has already made arrangements. There are 3 newly built teleportation arrays there. The teleportation arrays lead to the Ridge Peak Star. The 3 of you can enter. As for the fee, it is 1 low-grade elemental holy ore. 1. Qin Yu was slightly stunned. Even the closest place would cost at least 2 low-grade elemental holy ore. Because one of them was used to supply the teleportation array and the other was the profit earned by the planet controller. His Majesty set the fee at 1 low-grade elemental holy ore. It is just a formality. His Majesty would not care about such a small teleportation fee. The man wearing the battle armor had a trace of admiration in his eyes. The Cyan Emperor had a very high reputation in the immortal realm. After all, time was the best trial stone. The Cyan Emperor had stood proudly in the immortal realm for so long. There was no need to doubt his strength and status. There were also many people who worshipped him. This Cyan Emperor is really something. I admire him. Hou Fei admired the Cyan Emperor, whom he had never met before, just from the fee of 1 low-grade elemental holy ore. He handed over a low-grade elemental holy ore. Qin Yu and his brothers stepped into one of the interstellar teleportation arrays. With a flash of light, the 3 brothers arrived at the Ridge Peak Star from the Jade Wave Star. Ridge Peak Star. This planet was originally a desolate and nameless planet. The name Ridge Peak Star was just given by the Cyan Emperor. However, ever since the Cyan Emperor decided to use this place for his tribulation, the name Ridge Peak Star was already decided. It would no longer remain unknown. The reason why the Ridge Peak Star was named Ridge Peak was because this planet had many tall mountains. The mountains were mainly divided into 3 colors: scarlet, red, white, and gray. 3 seniors. The moment Qin Yu and his brothers came out, a woman said respectfully, "The 3 seniors are Emperor-level experts. You can follow me to the first region to watch the scene of His Majesty's tribulation." Qin Yu, Hou Fei and Kuro glanced at each other and could not help but laugh. The Cyan Emperor's arrangements were really good. "You lead the way," Qin Yu said with a smile. Then, the 3 brothers followed behind the woman and flew towards the north at high speed. There were many people on the Ridge Peak Star. Qin Yu's immortal sense only covered a portion of the sky, and he discovered no less than 1,000,000 cultivators. Almost all of these cultivators were immortals. There were very few people from the devil world and the demon world. How can ordinary people travel from the demon world and the devil world to the Ridge Peak Star in the immortal world in a year? Qin Yu understood in his heart that the reason why there were so many people in the immortal world was because they had the geographical advantage. Qin Yu could clearly sense that the entire Ridge Peak Star had been set up with an extremely vast restriction. The outermost layer was where the Sky Immortal experts were, the middle layer was where the Golden Immortal experts were, and the innermost layer, the so-called First Region, was where the Emperor-level experts were. The Cyan Emperor did not send people to build any courtyards in the outermost and middle layers. Those courtyards were built by the Immortals themselves. As for the First Region, there were many courtyards. These were specially built by the Cyan Emperor's people. Qin Yu and the other 2 followed the woman and landed at the entrance of the First Region. "Seniors, you may enter. There will be people inside who will arrange for your accommodations." Qin Yu and the other 2 nodded and then stepped into the entrance of the First Region. At the entrance, there were 4 immortal emperors waiting. The leader was an old acquaintance of Qin Yu, the 4th disciple of the Cyan Emperor, Immortal Emperor Song Shi. He was the young man Qin Yu had met at Crescent Moon Bay. "Brother Song Shi." Qin Yu smiled and called out. Immortal Emperor Song Shi, who had been talking with someone, turned his head. Qin Yu had already reverted to his original appearance. Song Shi said in surprise, "Qin Yu, you're here? Are these 2 the brothers you're looking for?" "That's right. This is my 2nd brother Hou Fei. This is my 3rd brother Kuro," Qin Yu said magnanimously. "Hou Fei, Kuro, I've already heard about the achievements of you 3 brothers. the future great ape emperor and a person wanted to kill by the Pang Demon Emperor. You three brothers are truly powerful. Even Demon Emperor Bai Feng was killed by you three," said Immortal Emperor Song Shi with a smile. Ho Fei said, "Hey, has that Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor come?" "Not yet. Even the Pang Demon Emperor hasn't come. I reckon he'll come in a couple days. However, there are already several hundred Emperor-level experts in the first region. There are even some extremely powerful hidden experts," sighed Immortal Emperor Song Shi. Qin Yu and his brothers were all shocked. Several hundred Emperor-level experts. It was truly astonishing. In the past, they had only seen several tens of Emperor-level experts. "Qin Yu, come. I've already arranged your residence. It's near Granny Yin Hua's place," said Immortal Emperor Song Shi with a smile. "Granny Yin Hua has also come." Qin Yu started to chat with Immortal Emperor Song Shi. "That's right. Emperor Nai has also come." "Qin Yu, I've only come to know one thing now. So the strongest in the Devil Realm are not the Blood Devil Emperor, the Black Devil Emperor and the Azura Devil Emperor. There are even stronger experts. I've only seen two of them," said Immortal Emperor Song Shi mysteriously. Qin Yu was already prepared. This time around, he would definitely see a lot of hidden experts. Hidden Emperor and the Black and White Dual Emperors have also arrived. "There's also that granddaughter of the Hidden Emperor," said Immortal Emperor Song Shi with a smile. Senior Hidden Emperor is very concerned about Master's divine tribulation this time around. Qin Yu also smiled. How could he not be concerned? Hidden Emperor was also someone who was about to undergo his divine tribulation. "Unfortunately, that brat Emperor Yu hasn't arrived yet," Ho Fei muttered in dissatisfaction. Hearing that, Qin Yu couldn't help but smile. Before coming here, Ho Fei had already said that he was going to teach Emperor Yu a lesson. Granny Yin Hua's residence is just ahead. Immortal Emperor Song Shi only spoke half of his words before frowning. He took out a transmission spiritual pearl. Soon after, he raised his head and said to Qin Yu with a smile, "You guys have come at the right time. Earlier, the guards of the Jade Wave Star sent a message saying that Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor have already arrived. I'll have to personally go and welcome them." Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor have arrived. Qin Yu, Ho Fei and Kuroa's eyes flashed with a sharp glint. Chapter 423. The desolate and nameless planet Ridge Peak Star had now become very famous. At the same time, a large amount of experts had gathered here. The number of immortal emperors, demon emperors and devil emperors was frighteningly large. Those level 2 and 3 immortal emperors that used to be the overlords of some galaxies were all well behaved and did not dare to be arrogant in the slightest. The first region was the region where the emperor-level experts lived. At this moment, Qin Yu and his brothers were together with Immortal Emperor Song Shi. Seeing the current expression of Qin Yu and his brothers, Immortal Emperor Song Shi felt a trace of helplessness in his heart. Immediately he urged, "Brother Qin Yu, please help us. This time around, Master is going to undergo the divine tribulation. Master does not wish for anyone to cause trouble here. I know that you have some hatred with that Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor. Let's settle these matters after Master finishes his divine tribulation. How about that?" Qin Yu, Ho Fei and Kuro glanced at each other. The three brothers had already made their decision. Fighting here would cause too much of a disturbance. Let's talk about it later. Qin Yu made his decision. Qin Yu also knew when to advance and when to retreat. There were several hundred experts gathered here. There were at least 10 level 9 immortal emperors. If they were to fight here, it would be very troublesome. Thank you so much, Brother Qin Yu. Granny Yin Hua has already come out and is with Emperor Ni. Brother Qin Yu, you can go and see Granny Yin Hua first. Your residence is in the courtyard on the right side of Granny Yin Hua. I've already prepared it. Well then, I'll go and receive Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor first. Immortal Emperor Song Shi clasped his hands gratefully and then left. Usually, the major characters such as Emperor Yu, Flame Emperor and Blood Devil Emperor would all be personally received by Immortal Emperor Song Shi. Song Shi was the personal disciple of the Cyan Emperor. Furthermore, he was a level 7 Immortal Emperor. Him personally receiving them was already giving enough face to Emperor Yu and them. Hey! Hou Fei curled his lips and scolded in a low voice. I wanted to seize this opportunity to teach Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor a lesson. When they gather with Pang Demon Emperor, there won't be such a good opportunity anymore. Kuro nodded in agreement. Qin Yu lightly smiled. Who cares if the two of them are colluding or not? The experts here are all from all over the immortal, devil and demon realm. Even the great ape emperor and them would be here. Even if the Pang Demon Emperor wanted to attack, he would not dare to do so here. Let's wait for them to separate. The Pang Demon Emperor's speed is too fast. He's very hard to deal with. If we were to encounter the Pang Demon Emperor, we can just run away. As for Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor, we will be able to kill them. Qin Yu now had sufficient confidence. Qin Yu and the other two's strength had increased. With their current strength, even if they couldn't defeat the other party, they had enough capital to escape. Qin Yu didn't think that running away was because he was incompetent. On the contrary, he liked to see the irritation and anger of others when they couldn't catch him. Granny Yinhua is looking over here. Let's go and greet her, Qin Yu said via voice transmission. Immediately after, Qin Yu and his brothers followed the Bluestone Road and directly walked toward Granny Yinhua and Emperor Ni. With Qin Yu's current strength, even if he was a level 9 Immortal Emperor, Qin Yu would still be able to see through him. However, no matter how hard he tried, he was unable to see through Granny Yinhua. Granny Yinhua had a benevolent appearance and gave people a feeling of cordiality. As for the level 9 Demon Emperor Ni, she had a bewitching appearance and was extremely moving. At the same time, she possessed a kind of nobility that came from her bones. Big Sister Yinhua, this Qin Yu's cultivation speed is truly fast. Now even I am barely able to sense his strength, exclaimed Emperor Ni. Granny Yinhua smiled and narrowed her eyes. She nodded and said, "Not bad. However, this kid still needs to work hard." Granny, Senior Emperor Ni. Qin Yu finally arrived in front of Granny Yinhua and said respectfully. Granny Yinhua was all smiles as her gaze swept past Hou Fei and Kuro. She said kindly, "Qin Yu, the two young men beside you are the two brothers that you're looking for, right?" "That's right. Granny, this is my second brother, Hou Fei. This is my third brother, Kuro." Qin Yu turned around and looked at Hou Fei and Kuro. "Fei Xiaohei, come and greet Granny." Hou Fei chuckled, then casually cupped his hands and said, "Junior Hou Fei greets Granny Yinhua and Senior Emperor Ni. Junior Kuro greets the two seniors." Kuro was instead serious in speech and manner. His face was ice cold. Emperor Ni wore a red gown. With a rough glance, it appeared as if her entire body was burning with flames. Emperor Ni's eyes shined as she looked at Hou Fei and Kuro. "Qin Yu, the strength of these two brothers of yours is not weak either. Fiery-eyed water ape. Level 7 Demon Emperor. On top of that, the stick techniques unique to the ape and monkey clan. Their strength is likely comparable to level 9 Immortal Emperors. For this Kuro to be chased by the Pang Demon Emperor so hard, I'm afraid he's not ordinary either. I'm ranked third among the three brothers." Hou Fei laughed and said, "You're truly a crafty monkey." Granny Yinhua smiled and pointed. At this moment, Qin Yu suddenly sensed something and turned around. Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor were walking toward them side by side. At the same time, the Mystic Emperor Xian she was casually chatting with Immortal Emperor Song Shi beside her. And at this moment, Emperor Yu and Xian she also saw Qin Yu and his brothers. Emperor Yu's eyes burst forth with a sharp cold light. Qin Yu's mind moved. It seems that this Emperor Yu still bears a grudge against me. Furthermore, he hates me to the bone. Fei Xiaohei, let's go and greet our good friends, Qin Yu said with a smile. Once Hou Fei and Kuro heard this, a strange smile appeared on their faces. Qin Yu and his brothers also walked toward Emperor Yu side by side. The bluestone road was not very wide. It was only about 3 meters wide. With the three of them walking side by side, they completely occupied this road. Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor also stopped. Qin Yu and his brothers were on one side and Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor were on the other side. These two sides were only about 10 meters apart from each other. To them, a distance of 10 meters was completely negligible. The two sides emitted a sharp aura as they stood opposite each other. Qin Yu, you've reached level 9 Immortal Emperor. Emperor Yu's expression suddenly changed. He discovered that he could only faintly feel Qin Yu's strength. It seemed that Qin Yu's soul realm was about the same as his own. Level 9 Immortal Emperor, you can say so, Qin Yu said as he looked at Emperor Yu. If Emperor Yu wanted to think so, Qin Yu would not deny it. How is that possible? Back then on the reef Yellow Star, you had only reached level 1 Immortal Emperor and had just opened the third layer of the 10,000 Beasts Atlas. But now, it's only been a few hundred years. Emperor Yu's complexion was slightly pale. Reaching level 9 Immortal Emperor in less than 1,000 years, this was indeed a frightening matter. Qin Yu merely smiled. Qin Yu himself did not say anything and let Emperor Yu's imagination run wild. Emperor Yu's soul realm was about the same as Qin Yu's. Thus, he was unable to clearly see through Qin Yu. That was why he made a series of conjectures. Hey, you're Emperor Yu. Hou Fei fiercely stared at Emperor Yu. Fiery-eyed water ape, you're Qin Yu's second brother Hou Fei. The Hou Fei who ascended less than 1,000 years ago. How is that possible? Emperor Yu's pupils shrunk. At this moment, Emperor Yu's heart was in chaos. What exactly is going on? How many years has it been since Hou Fei ascended? How did he reach level 7 Demon Emperor? A level 7 Demon Emperor Super Divine Beast, and the Ape and Monkey Clan's special ability to comprehend the Tao through battle. I reckon that he's not much weaker than me. Emperor Yu looked at Kuro again. You're Qin Yu's third brother Kuro. That's right. Compared to Big Brother and Monkey, my strength is a bit weaker. Kuro said coldly. Weak. A level 6 Demon Emperor variation Super Divine Beast didn't seem to be very strong. However, Kuro had ascended less than 1,000 years ago. How could Emperor Yu possibly think of the existence of an abnormal divine artifact like the Jianglan's realm? Emperor Yu came to a complete realization. At this moment, Emperor Yu understood one thing. Qin Yu and his brothers would not be afraid of him and his wife when they saw them. Instead, they would come up to them and kill them. That time it was because the Dragon Emperor protected us that we did not kill this Qin Yu. Who would have thought that he would reach such a level? In the future, if we want to kill him, it'll be difficult. Emperor Yu frowned. Brother Feng Yu, it's difficult for us to kill them. However, it's also difficult for them to kill us. Xian Shi comforted. Mystic Emperor, you've actually reached level 9 Immortal Emperor. Your speed is truly fast. Qin Yu had an appearance of admiration. Xian Shi had indeed reached level 9 Immortal Emperor. She and Emperor Yu were dual cultivating. Borrowing the special state of dual cultivation, she was able to clearly sense Emperor Yu's comprehension of the cosmic space. This allowed Xian Shi to quickly break through level 8 Immortal Emperor and reach level 9 Immortal Emperor. So what if there were 2 level 9 Immortal Emperors? Qin Yu and Hou Fei each took one. If Kuro were to launch a sneak attack, they would still be able to easily deal with him. Is it fast to reach level 9 Immortal Emperor? No matter how fast it is, it's still inferior to you. Xian Shi said with a smile. It was as if she did not have any killing intent. Immortal Emperor Songshi, who stood beside Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor, had a bitter taste in his mouth. He did not wish for Qin Yu and his brothers to fight against Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor. If these two groups of people were to fight against each other, it was very possible that they would fight. Brother Qin Yu. Immortal Emperor Songshi spoke. Qin Yu lightly smiled. Emperor Yu, I wonder if you still remember the words I said when you and your wife launched a sneak attack on me. Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor's complexion slightly changed. I, Qin Yu, hereby swear that I will definitely kill you one day. I, Qin Yu, and you, Emperor Yu, will not rest until one of us is dead. The oath from back then seemed to be ringing in their ears. However, the smile on Qin Yu's face was somewhat cold. Qin Yu sneered and said, "What the two of you did to me in the past, I will definitely return it back several-fold. Don't bullshit with me. Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor, if the two of you have the ability, immediately undergo the divine tribulation and ascend to the divine realm earlier. That way, the two of you might still be able to live a bit longer in the divine realm. Otherwise, with my cultivation speed, I will definitely surpass the two of you easily." At that time, humph humph. Qin Yu did not give Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor any face. He was also disinclined to give them any face. Things had already come to this point. Was there still any room for negotiation? If he, Qin Yu, was still able to endure it now, he would not have any self-respect left. Worthy nephew Songshi, did you hear that? It's not that I don't want to give you face. Emperor Yu turned around and said to Immortal Emperor Songshi. Immortal Emperor Songshi felt a headache. Chi! Sparks seemed to appear in the space. At the same time, the space started to distort. An extremely sharp energy tore through the space and instantly arrived before Qin Yu. Qin Yu only saw a pair of eyes filled with killing intent. As for Qin Yu, it was as if he was already prepared. He extended his right index finger. Bang! The space returned to normal. The figure of Emperor Yu, who was talking to Immortal Emperor Songshi, gradually disappeared. Another figure of Emperor Yu appeared before Qin Yu. Emperor Yu's index finger and Qin Yu's index finger collided. At the same time, the divine sword in Emperor Yu's hand, Great Emperor's sword, was blocked by Qin Yu's divine sword, Sky Piercer. The two of them stood there motionlessly. Their eyes were fixed on each other. However, the ground had already turned into fine powder. Never would I have thought that Emperor Yu's finger technique was this powerful. The lightning energy contained within it is the strongest I've ever seen. Qin Yu said with a smile. In an instant earlier, Emperor Yu's figure was already like lightning. His divine sword contained an astonishing amount of immortal elemental energy and wanted to pierce through Qin Yu's dantian. As for his left index finger, he used another absolute art in a futile attempt to shatter Qin Yu's head. What a hard finger! Emperor Yu only managed to squeeze out these two words. Then, his figure turned illusory and he returned to the Mystic Emperor's side. Right at this moment, a boundless voice sounded in the sky. Feng Yu, Qin Yu. This time, I am the one undergoing the heavenly tribulation. I hope that the two of you will not make a big fuss. I'll let it go this time. However, if one of you dares to make a move again the next time, I Qi Qing will personally punish you. Cyan Emperor's tyrannical voice transmission was not only heard by Qin Yu and them. Even the other Emperor-level experts on the Ridge Peak Star heard it clearly. Punish. Humph. Emperor Yu coldly humphed. The Mystic Emperor's expression was also somewhat ugly. Nominally, Cyan Emperor's status was equal to Emperor Yu and them. However, from Cyan Emperor's words, it was very clear that he did not place Emperor Yu and them in his eyes. It was as if he could punish them whenever he wanted. Cyan Emperor is finally no longer hiding his strength. Qin Yu was not angry. That day at the Crescent Moon Bay, from what Granny Yinhua and them said, this Cyan Emperor's strength was not inferior to the Dragon Emperor's. The mysterious Cyan Emperor was undergoing his heavenly tribulation in such a public manner. And now, he was using such a tyrannical voice transmission to threaten Emperor Yu and himself. It would appear that he no longer wanted to hide his strength. Little friend Qin Yu. A familiar voice sounded from behind him. Qin Yu turned around to look. He saw Hidden Emperor, Black and White Emperors and Hidden Emperor's granddaughter, Lin Lin, walking over. As for Granny Yin Hua and Emperor Ni, they had already returned to their own residences. Lin Lin also came in. Qin Yu was slightly surprised. This was the first region. In reality, Cyan Emperor was only giving face to Hidden Emperor. Seeing Lin Lin, Qin Yu couldn't help but think of his disciple, Lu Honshu. That simple and honest youth. Unfortunately, his only disciple had already died. Senior Hidden Emperor. Qin Yu smiled as he walked up to greet him. Let's chat at my residence. There are too many people here. That's true. Hidden Emperor Lin Yin nodded. Lin Lin also looked at Qin Yu. Qin Yu also smiled at Lin Lin. Hou Fei and Kuro muttered to themselves. This big brother of theirs knew too many people. It seemed that Qin Yu knew all the experts. Chapter 424. The Pang Demon Emperor has come. Qin Yu's relaxed heart immediately tensed up. He then said to Hou Fei and Kuro beside him, Fei Xiaohei, come with me. The Dragon Emperor, Ao Wuming and the Great Ape Emperor have all come. The Great Ape Emperor has also come. Hou Fei immediately stood up. Kuro, on the other hand, did not really care about it. Not only them, there's another person. The Pang Demon Emperor. The Pang Demon Emperor has come together with the Dragon Emperor and them. Qin Yu muttered. This matter is a bit troublesome. This Pang Demon Emperor is extremely reclusive. He might disregard the face of the Dragon Emperor and them and directly attack us. With the speed of the Pang Demon Emperor, no one would be able to stop him in time. What Big Brother said is correct. With the temperament of the Pang Demon Emperor, he might really attack us directly. Mixed Hairbird, it's best that you don't meet with that Pang Demon Emperor for the time being. The person that Pang Demon Emperor wants to kill the most is you. Hou Fei reminded. Kuro had an ice-cold expression. I'll go out with you all. Qin Yu looked to Xiaohei. He knew very well of Xiaohei's temperament. It was very hard to persuade him. However, what he had guessed earlier might not necessarily happen. Furthermore, with his speed, he ought to be able to take Xiaohei into the Zhonglan's realm in time. Furthermore, in this first region, there was also Granny Yin Hua whom even Qin Yu was unable to see through. Let's go, we'll go out and welcome the Dragon Emperor and them together. Qin Yu decided. The Great Ape Emperor, the Dragon Emperor and them. Qin Yu and them must definitely welcome them. The three brothers left the courtyard and walked along the Bluestone Road toward the entrance of the first region. In merely a short moment, Qin Yu saw a couple familiar figures. Pang Demon Emperor Zhong Yan, who was completely golden in color, Level 8 Demon Emperor Ao Ku and Level 8 Demon Emperor Lu Tuesday. These three people were leading a large group of Demon Emperors and walking over. This group of people were evidently from the Bird Clan. Qin Yu's immortal awareness immediately discovered that three groups of people had entered in succession. The first group was from the Bird Clan. The second group was from the Dragon Clan led by the Dragon Emperor. The third group was from the Beast Clan led by the Ox Demon Emperor and the Great Ape Emperor. Kuro. Once the Pang Demon Emperor saw Kuro, killing intent appeared in his eyes. He was about to attack at once. The moment Immortal Emperor Songshi, who was leading the way at the front, saw Kuro, he immediately felt that something was amiss. He immediately said, Senior Pang Demon Emperor, my master had said that this time around, it is his senior who is undergoing the divine tribulation. All those who have come to this place to observe the divine tribulation are not allowed to fight each other. If anyone were to violate this rule, my master would not hesitate to personally take action. Qi Qing really said that. The Pang Demon Emperor looked to Immortal Emperor Songshi. His gaze was ice-cold. That's right. Immortal Emperor Songshi raised his head and looked at the Pang Demon Emperor face to face. He did not back down in the slightest. At this moment, Qin Yu was paying attention with his immortal awareness the entire time. His eyes were also fixed on the Pang Demon Emperor. The Pang Demon Emperor has never cared about anyone before. Perhaps he might really attack. Qin Yu was very careful. Not good. Qin Yu's body that had been in the storing power state the entire time suddenly moved like a spring. He directly moved in front of Kuro. However, after only moving for such a short distance, the golden ray of light that the Pang Demon Emperor had transformed into actually arrived in front of Qin Yu. His speed was so fast that it was frightening. A walking stick collided with the Pang Demon Emperor's golden Pang claw. The golden ray of light flew back. The Pang Demon Emperor had returned to his original location. Pang Demon Emperor's pupils shrunk. He was firmly staring at the old lady in front of Qin Yu. Granny Yinhua. So you're Granny Yinhua. The Pang Demon Emperor had already heard of Granny Yinhua's great name. Merely at that time, Granny Yinhua had only used a secret technique to transmit her image. This was also the first time that the Pang Demon Emperor had met Granny Yinhua. Granny Yinhua had a kind expression. She coughed a couple times. "Sigh, I'm old now. I'm useless." Qin Yu almost laughed out loud. Granny Yinhua was indeed as frightening as he had imagined her to be. When the Pang Demon Emperor attacked, Granny Yinhua was still quite a distance away from Qin Yu. The Pang Demon Emperor attacked first and then Granny Yinhua. However, Granny Yinhua managed to block the Pang Demon Emperor. In terms of speed, Granny Yinhua was even faster than the Pang Demon Emperor. As the Pang Demon Emperor possessed an inherited treasure, his strongest point was his speed. However, Granny Yinhua was even faster. Merely this point had caused the Pang Demon Emperor to feel a bit apprehensive. That Qi Qing has also recognized me as his big sister. Thus I cannot not give him face. Since he said that he would not allow anyone to attack here, I must also help him stop it. Am I right? Granny Yinhua said with a beaming smile. At this moment, no one dared to look down on this granny. The Pang Demon Emperor merely stared at Granny Yinhua. No one knew what he was thinking. The sound of the air vibrating was heard. The Dragon Emperor, Ao Wuming, Ox Demon Emperor, Great Ape Emperor and them flew over from the Bird Clan's group of demon emperors and landed beside the Pang Demon Emperor. "Zhongyan, what are you doing?" said the Great Ape Emperor Sun Yuan with a smile. "Could it be that you're planning to attack the next clan chief of our ape and monkey clan?" said the Pang Demon Emperor directly. "Earlier, I merely wanted to capture him." "That's right, capture him." Earlier, the Pang Demon Emperor only wanted to instantly imprison Kuro's strength and capture him. He simply did not dare to kill Kuro. That was because he had sworn to Bai Exin that he would not kill Kuro. Capture him. Say, Zhongyan, aren't you a bit too disrespectful to Qi Qing? This time around, it's Qi Qing who is undergoing his divine tribulation. Mocked the Dragon Emperor. The Pang Demon Emperor took a glance at the Great Ape Emperor and the Dragon Emperor. He snorted. He knew that with the Great Ape Emperor and the Dragon Emperor here, even if he wanted to attack, it would still be very troublesome. Qin Yu, his brothers, the Pang Demon Emperor, the Dragon Emperor and them were all gathered here. Immediately, they attracted the gazes of a large amount of Emperor-level experts from afar. Merely, that group of experts did not dare to approach them. A cyan-clothed figure suddenly appeared in the air. He then descended to the ground and stood between Qin Yu, his brothers and the Pang Demon Emperor and them. This person was precisely the Cyan Emperor who was about to undergo his divine tribulation. Qi Qing's entire body was emitting a comfortable aura. Qi Qing merely took a glance at the two sides. He then lightly smiled and said to the Pang Demon Emperor, "Brother Zhongyan, I have invited you to watch my divine tribulation. I hope that you can give me this face. I do not wish for anyone to fight here." "Good, I'll give you this face. Let's go," said the Pang Demon Emperor coldly. He then soared into the sky. Behind him, Aoku, Lu Tu, and a large group of demon emperors also soared into the sky. Soon after, this group of demon emperors flew toward their own courtyard. The Cyan Emperor merely took a glance at the Peng demon emperor who flew away. He lightly smiled and then looked to Qinyu. He laughed and said, "Little brother Qinyu, you've brought me a lot of trouble." Qinyu could only smile. And at this moment, Qinyu suddenly turned around and looked to the distance. In the distant sky, Emperor Yu and the Mystic Emperor were leading their subordinates and welcoming the Pang Demon Emperor and them. They were even chatting and laughing with each other. These two groups of people have indeed joined hands. Not only Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Kuro, the Dragon Emperor and them had also noticed this. "Everyone please rest. I reckon that the day of my divine tribulation will be in a month's time. In this month's time I must properly prepare and thus cannot greet everyone. Please forgive me," said the Cyan Emperor to the surrounding people. "You still need to prepare." The Dragon Emperor ridiculed. The Cyan Emperor started to laugh. "Ha ha! Ha ha!" The Dragon Emperor also started to laugh. The Dragon Emperor, and I, the Cyan Emperor and that Gold Punishment Lord from back then possessed a very good relationship. They all knew each other very well. Seeing this, Qin Yu couldn't help but sigh in his heart. This Cyan Emperor is truly confident in his divine tribulation. No wonder he dared to publicly allow so many people to come and watch his divine tribulation. He's also not afraid that others would disturb him. The days of waiting were not boring at all. That was because there were many friends here. At the same time, there were also many immortal emperors, demon emperors and even devil emperors that came to pay Qin Yu a visit. Qin Yu and his brothers, their fame had spread far and wide. Furthermore, not long ago, Emperor Yu had mounted a sneak attack on Qin Yu and managed to tie with Qin Yu. Qin Yu's strength was clear to all. The news of this simple fight had also spread out. The combined strength of Qin Yu and his brothers was comparable to the combined strength of Hidden Emperor and Black and White Dual Emperors. There were naturally a lot of people that wanted to befriend them. Inside Qin Yu's courtyard. "Brother Qin Yu, there's no need to send me off. Farewell." That handsome golden-clothed youth bid farewell to Qin Yu. Qin Yu and his brothers watched as the golden-clothed youth left. Then they closed the door. "Hey, big brother, I don't think this Flame Emperor's strength is that great. Isn't he only a level 8 immortal emperor? How did he manage to rise to a position comparable to Emperor Yu and Mystic Emperor combined?" Hou Fei said. That golden-clothed youth from earlier was the Flame Emperor that had just risen to power in the immortal realm. "Don't look down on that Flame Emperor," Qin Yu said solemnly. "I feel that this Flame Emperor is not as simple as he seems. So much so that I feel that he's even more powerful than Emperor Yu. Course, this is only a feeling." "Is he that powerful?" Hou Fei was shocked. Kuro also looked to Qin Yu in confusion. A level 8 immortal emperor shouldn't be that powerful. Qin Yu and his brothers were currently uncertain. However, in the future when Qin Yu's status increases and he meets with the big shots of various powers, only then would Qin Yu truly know the reason why this Flame Emperor was so threatening. Of course, that was a matter for the future. It had already been a month since the Pang Demon Emperor attacked. Logically, the day of the Cyan Emperor's divine tribulation should have arrived. However, there was no news of it. Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Kuro, Bai Ling Yichu and Ao Wushu were all in the courtyard. Bai Ling Yichu and Ao Wushu had never seen anyone undergo a divine tribulation before. Thus they wanted to watch. However, Wu Lan did not come out from the Jianglan's realm. According to Wu Lan's words, he said, "Too lazy to watch." Right when they were chatting, a voice suddenly resounded through the sky. "Everyone, tomorrow is the day that I, Qi Qing, will undergo my divine tribulation. At that time, please stay in your respective regions and watch. Do not enter the core region of my divine tribulation." This was the voice of the Cyan Emperor. Immediately after, the voice disappeared. Following this news, the entire Ridge Peak star became lively. Countless people began to discuss this news. As for Qin Yu and them, they also became happy. Finally, they did not have to continue to wait. When the day of the divine tribulation arrived, the number of emperor-level experts in the first region had already surpassed 1,000. In the entire immortal devil and demon realm, it was estimated that at least 80% of the emperor-level experts had arrived on the Ridge Peak Star. After all, to watch the divine tribulation, practically all of the emperor-level experts were attracted. The majority of them did not even know what the divine tribulation was. Qin Yu, Hou Fei and them also did not know what the divine tribulation was. On the day of the divine tribulation, over 100 million cultivators were gathered on the Ridge Peak Star. The first region had over 1,000 emperor-level experts. The second region had over 100 million golden immortal-level experts. The third region had mostly heavenly immortals. As for heavenly demons and heavenly demons, they were extremely few. Densely packed, countless figures flew into the sky. Each and every one of them stood in the sky and watched the core region from afar. Inside the first region, practically everyone was watching from the sky. Qin Yu and his group were also doing the same. Qin Yu swept his gaze over. The Dragon Emperor Ao Wuming, Great Ape Emperor, Ox Demon Emperor, Pung Demon Emperor, Emperor Yu, Mystic Emperor, Flame Emperor, Blood Devil Emperor, and other groups of experts were all in the sky. The core region was about 10 miles in circumference. This was the place where the Saiyan Emperor was preparing to undergo his divine tribulation. Brother Qin Yu. Immortal Emperor Song Shi flew to Qin Yu's side. I'll watch with you all. That's good. Song Shi, why aren't you with your senior brother and them? Qin Yu asked. Immortal Emperor Song Shi was the fourth disciple of the Saiyan Emperor. The Saiyan Emperor had a total of 5 disciples. Each and every one of them were emperor-level experts. The strongest 5th disciple had even reached level 8 Immortal Emperor. Eldest senior brother and 5th junior brother don't get along. It's annoying for me to be there. Song Shi shook his head helplessly. Qin Yu smiled. Oh, that's right, why did Granny Yin Hua disappear? Qin Yu asked. Granny Yin Hua's residence was right beside Qin Yu's residence. If Granny Yin Hua was here, Qin Yu would be able to easily see her. Oh, Granny Yin Hua. She seemed to have something important to do and left early. Song Shi explained. Qin Yu nodded. This Granny Yin Hua likely didn't care about undergoing the divine tribulation. Her strength was clear for all to see. Big brother, the divine tribulation has begun, Hou Fei reminded. Qin Yu immediately looked toward the core region. In that core region with a circumference of 10 miles, there was only the Saiyan Emperor. The Saiyan Emperor stood on the ground with his hands behind his back. He did not use any formation arrays nor did he make any preparations. He just stood there on the ground like that. The clear sky instantly turned dark. The entire Ridge Peak Star immediately turned dark. The entire Ridge Peak Star was quiet, terrifyingly quiet. All of the people who were watching the divine tribulation were carefully watching. No one said anything. In the dark sky, an enormous dark red-colored vortex suddenly appeared. That vortex was at least several thousand miles in circumference. It was spinning unceasingly. Its frightening energy caused the entire space to start to vibrate. Chi-chi. The entire space of the Ridge Peak Star was flowing with electric currents. The space was ionized. Fortunately, the electric currents did not have much of an effect on the experts. Qin Yu, Hou Fei, Kuro Yi Chu, Pung Demon Emperor, Emperor Yu, Hidden Emperor, and countless other experts were all raising their heads and staring at that enormous dark red-colored vortex. That dark red-colored vortex was faintly flickering with blue-colored lightning. At the same time, the dark red-colored vortex started to spin. Speed was not fast. However, there was a strange pattern to it. What's going on? Everyone was shocked to see this scene. Merely because the dark red-colored vortex was spinning, it caused the space within a radius of about a mile with the Saiyan Emperor as the center to be completely distorted. Everyone was able to faintly see the figure of the Cyan Emperor in that distorted space. "Big brother, a great formation array appeared in that dark red-colored vortex," said Kuro via voice transmission. Qin Yu also raised his head to look. Sure enough, the dark blue-colored lightning that was originally hidden in the depths of the dark red-colored vortex started to appear. After those dark blue-colored lightning appeared on the surface of the dark red-colored vortex, it formed a dark blue circular Great Formation Array. That Great Formation Array was in the shape of a ring. Inside the ring were numerous peculiar trajectories. At the same time, the dark blue-colored lightning was unceasingly flowing through the trajectories of the formation array. What sort of formation array was this? 3 Great Divine Tribulation. This ought to be the first Great Divine Tribulation, muttered Song Shi. You're tuning in to the Whispers of Romance YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.